Welcome to this episode 0 of the Wannabeez pod. I'm your host, Justin Kyle. With me are my two wonderful co-hosts, John Van Hook.
Hello.
And Nick Gula.
Let's go!
So this is just a little introduction to the four-color Seamen tribute pod that we recorded in Red Bank, New Jersey at a shared universe. It's like our pilot episode. We released this originally on the Caps Off feed with our boy John here.
Yep, that's Caps Off with John and Trevor, my original podcast. You're not missing out, but yeah, it's on that feed. Check out. We got other stuff on the channel. We got our little independent films and stuff that we made, trying to figure out how to work cameras and stuff and do editing and all kinds of good stuff. So if you care, check it out.
You sent us a video in our group chat. They're really well done. Like it's so punk rock. Like what's it called, the multi-Trevor verse or something?
Yeah, the Multraverse. Cause it's Trevor. Yeah, yeah. That was mostly his work. Like I can say that I largely helped him on it, but a lot of that was just like he's very talented.
Yeah, it was awesome. I hope to have him on the show someday.
Oh, it's gonna happen for sure.
He's so cool. He's plain chicken.
I brought some beef facts just to keep it interesting. Ready?
Ooh, yeah. Lay it on me.
Fact number 1: bees make honey.
Oh, shit.
Pretty fucking sweet, right?
Sweet.
Yeah, getting right to the meat and potatoes, huh?
All right. Fact number 2: bees have 5 eyes.
Whoa.
That I didn't know, actually.
That's why we can see everything coming.
That's pretty irregular in nature to see 5 eyes on something. You usually see it in like even numbers. That's pretty creepy. Some might say satanic.
Ooh, that's pretty cool. Satanic bees. Metal.
We're getting deeper now.
Beef fact number 3: the military uses bees to find landmines.
That is awesome.
Okay. Do they blow up when they get there?
Obviously. Boom! Fucking Claymore comes up, pops up, fucking bouncing Betty's over here.
Bees smart enough to detect explosives, too dumb to realize their entire life is a pawn.
I have one final bee fact. You ready for this? When temperatures reach 42 degrees Celsius, which is 107 Fahrenheit, bees ejaculate themselves to death.
Whoa.
That's fucked up.
The world is going to ejaculate themselves to death when Wannabeez hits your YouTube feed. At least I would like to hope so.
It's the only understandable reaction is to ejaculate until you explode.
Would you say they're going to milk themselves?
Oh, yeah.
They don't know what that means yet.
Oh, yeah. That's a call forward.
Yeah. Gula's traveling through time with his jokes right now. Nick Gula, the time comedian.
What you're about to hear is our pilot episode. We recorded it with Chuck Staton and his girlfriend, Natalie. I don't remember her last name.
Natalie Kopriva. See, I remember things. I'm going for that redemption.
I think it was a great episode. I think it was so much fun. It was like the birth. It was the birth of the Wannabeez right there. You know, it's all part of the lore.
You're part of the lure.
You're part of the lore. As soon as you're hearing this, if you're like, oh shit, I've already heard this episode. Well, guess what, baby? Episode 1 is also on this YouTube feed. So just check that out. Brand new episodes. What do we want to do for a release date? We'll just decide right now. We want to do like Mondays or Fridays?
All right, on the spot. Monday's good.
I like Mondays.
Monday.
Mondays? All right, every Mondays. Wannabeez. We're committing.
Yeah, Garfield was missing out, honestly. He had no idea.
Yeah, we're going to give you a reason to love Mondays. Follow us on Instagram at Wannabeez Podcast. Follow us on X, formerly known as Twitter. I don't like calling it X.
No one does.
But anyway, follow us on Twitter at WannabeezPod. And if you want to write in, we have an email address. It's just wannabeezpod@gmail.com. And hit us up. Follow us.
Yeah, going forward, we're just going to be bullshitting telling stories of woe, not great ones, but enough probably, and trying to get as many other ants and groovy people that might be into this same kind of stuff on the pod and have as much fun with them as we do with each other.
Yeah, thank you for bringing up like the ants and stuff, because I should say up front, if you're not familiar with Tell 'em Steve Dave, the podcast with Walt Flanagan, Brian Johnson, and Brian Quinn.
How did you get here?
There's probably going to be jokes or references. It's going to come up a lot in this pod. So if you don't know, you know, go check them out. Tell 'em Steve Dave.
Stop this pod now. Go listen to that.
Yeah, fuck us. Go listen to that. Go to their feed. But no, I mean that's the whole basis of the Wannabeez. The three of us, we were like huge fans of Tell 'em Steve Dave. We met on the IJ cruise, and John thought of the idea like, well, we're gonna try to do what Tell 'em Steve Dave is. So why don't we just call ourselves the Wannabeez? Because that's kind of what we are. We're like a wannabe Tell 'em Steve Dave thing, and that's the birth of the whole name. So if you don't know what Tell 'em Steve Dave is, go check him out. Come back to us.
I had so much fun doing this pod at Shared Universe. It was such a good experience. And it's kind of the birth of this whole thing. And
we should really give Shared Universe a shout out, because they really took care of us. They have podcasting lessons. They have all kinds of cool shit. And you're going to be supporting Ming Chen. Who doesn't want to support that fucking guy? You know? Except for maybe John. He fucking hates Ming. But anyway, guys, be cool.
Shut the fuck up.
Buzz, motherfucker.
Bzzz.
The Wannabeez, the 4-color Seamen tribute.
Okay.
I'm cool with that.
You're on a cruise. You're on an IJ cruise. This is the best day of your life.
He did that same shit to me too.
And then Justin.
By the law. Nobody says that.
His accent is my favorite.
Brad, you're Chuck and Brad. Are you Chuck and Brad? And I'm like, yeah, we're Chuck and Brad. And he's like, and he fucking lost it.
Hello and welcome to this week's very special one and only edition of what we are calling the 4-color Seamen, tribute pod for Tell 'em Steve Dave. My name is John Van Hook. Sitting with me are two very good friends of mine that I happen to have met on the one and only IJ. It was the IJ.
It was the
Eric
Get
Andre
Shit Faced.
cruise.
Yeah.
Get Shit Faced. So that was one and only, because who knows if they'll ever do that again. But joining me, as you can already hear.
I'm Justin.
I'm Nick.
We're some hardcore ants. This guy's even more hard. He's been on every single cruise.
Yeah.
Every single one of them.
Yeah, I've been on every single one of them.
Yeah.
I got to see all the good moments.
I got this crazy idea on the boat, so I'm going to just go ahead and dive right in. I'm a 10-year ant. I started listening when I was a freshman in high school, so at a young age to start being my brain being molded by these three guys. But I live in Iowa, so no one has ever heard of this podcast. No one I could ever talk to could ever know why I love it so much or anything about it, and that's very, very frustrating for me. So being on the cruise is the very first time I'd ever been around anybody who even has like any scope of idea of what this is. So it was just, it's literally like you read Spider-Man your whole life, and then you walk into Walmart and he's like in line in front of you. Like, holy shit, this guy's real. He's a real dude. He walks and talks and eats food. It's fucked up. But so I got this idea. I was like, we need to harness what I'm going through right now.
Yeah.
Because I cannot be the only ant who's like in an audio desert island away from anybody else.
No, I feel that. In Maine, nobody knows about Tell 'em Steve Dave. Like when I tell people I'm going on vacation in Jersey, they're like, why?
Yeah, that's another thing about being an ant that I feel like most ants would totally just endlessly relate. It's one of the most difficult things to explain to anybody ever. Explaining a podcast can already be it could be difficult. Even in 2024, we're still having to break that down for people. I don't know how. Even with the success of Joe Rogan and shit, it should just be common knowledge.
Well, now anytime somebody says, "Oh, I like podcasts," it's always Joe Rogan.
Yeah.
You hear the new Rogan? I'm like, No.
And then comes
I'm
the
listening to podcasts from 2011, guys.
yeah, still.
What are you listening to? What are you listening to? Tell them, Steve. What the hell is that?
Yeah. Yeah.
Over
And over again.
I used to lead with like, do you know Kevin? And then I'll be like, well, there's two guys that you would like cameo in those movies. It's those two guys.
Yeah,
and then
they're not
Q
the
from
main
Impractical
characters.
Jokers.
No.
Yeah.
They're just in the movie.
Right. Because if I bring up Comic Book Man, it's this whole other thing. What the hell's that? So now I just lead in with Q. It's Q and his buddies, and they have a podcast that's been going on for almost 15 years, which is crazy.
Mm-hmm. So, and then you haven't heard this part yet, Nick, but on my way here, I called Justin. I got the greatest idea. Picture this, right? I'm listening to Tell Him Steve Dave. Shocker, I know. I'm barreling down the highway. No matter how I cut it up or color it differently, it's going to be our attempt at doing Tell Him Steve Dave. So why not just stare death right in the face? You know what I mean? Why not just own it up to a little bit? I thought we're just going to be Wannabeez, and anybody who listens to it is just going to be like, oh, these guys, they just want to get in and be special, go record a podcast. They think they're just going to go talk to everybody, and they, weasel their way in, just like everybody, absolutely secretly wants to do in the Ant fan base, I believe. So why not just embrace it? So I said, we'll call it the Wannabeez. I'll spell it WANNAB.
I want to remind you that this was his idea.
Yeah, everybody. This was John's idea. If anybody's listening,
he calls me up in a fucking panic. He wanted me to draw like pictures of our heads with like little bumblebee like wings on them and shit.
But doing it in like the same style as like Robert Etchingham, like the classic 3 head on the T-shirt.
Yeah.
And that we could even go as far as
Wannabeez.
We could take all our pictures, kind of like the classic, the real picture with the black background. You got Bri looking forward, Q looking to the side, and Walt looking up.
What do you think of this? This is the first time you're hearing this.
Yeah, this is the first time I'm hearing this.
Instead of ants, we'll be bees. Obviously,
we're gonna be bees.
We'll be army bees.
So we're gonna army bees, and we're gonna steal all of that.
What do you think?
It could work. I guess.
Wannabeez.
I
guess it could work.
He's not sold.
I'm not sold on this idea.
You don't want to be a bee?
It's even better.
What if we put a Z at the end of it?
Yeah, you're gonna work for it. We're gonna have to source this thing out here.
Yeah, man.
The Wannabeez, the 4-color Seamen tribute pod.
Okay.
I'm cool with
I
that.
can see it in
That's cool. I like that.
Can you use the song "Wannabe" from Spice Girls as the intro music?
Oh,
well, since since the nature of what we're doing is
stealing everything.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
We almost have to now.
Yeah, right. I think that's good.
Yeah, so I'm gonna write up a contract.
who's this third voice?
Do it.
I think it's 4th, buddy.
It's the yeah.
I'm here to help with math.
It's the 4th voice, and he's gonna keep his fucking trap shut until we introduce him properly, like he deserves. But no, let's get into all that aside. Let's get into why we know each other. We all met on the cruise. It was my first cruise ever, and also first IJ cruise. Your first IJ cruise.
Yep.
But this guy at the end of the table, Nick Gula.
Let's go.
That was your
That's my fifth.
IJ.
That's my 5th IJ cruise. Yeah.
And tell me about it. How did it compare to all the others?
I think this was the best one out of it because a lot of the older ones were a lot of kids. It was more IJ fans, and I think having that element with Tell 'Em Steve Dave put it over the top. I believe that this one was more of a Tell 'Em Steve Dave cruise than any of the other cruises because it just thing and Brian usually does the mutes. Q very rarely does the mutes, and having all of the Tell 'Em Steve Dave Town people there, I mean, that was amazing.
Obviously, I have no way to compare them, but for me, it was way, like you said, way more of an Ant situation than it was IJ most of the time, especially having Joe not there at all. It kind of threw off the IJ vibes, and it almost left a presence for us to leech in like venom and kind of take over the boat. It's almost what it felt like.
Well, Joe brought a certain level, like a whole nother level to the cruise. Like he was the cruise. He was the guy that was around. Murr, yeah, he's always popping bottles and doing that type of stuff. But Joe was more like there was more kids there, and he was doing more stuff with the kids and stuff like that, doing more stuff outdoors.
Yeah,
he was always on the deck, walking around.
You can almost hear how the other guys talk about it, about exactly how much weight they took off, or he took off of their plates.
Yeah.
So they did look quite stressed out. And a lot of the activities, especially because they're just constantly back and forth throughout the boat. So I imagine Joe probably did a lot of that stuff.
I mean, anytime you saw Q or Sal walking around the deck, they were swarmed with people.
Yeah.
Swarmed.
I want you to start telling me about your experience. Tell me like we have no idea.
So I've always seen like pictures of Nick and all these other ants at the other cruises, and even like the Frank 5 Day and stuff like that. I've always just been so like envious and like, God damn it, I wish I was there, you know? So like when they announced it, I was like, I told Harley, my partner, I'm like, we're going. Like, it's happening. Like, they may never do this again. So we booked the pre-sale. Just to fucking like cement it, and we'll figure it all out after. Like, it was so worth it to meet you guys and hang out with Chuck and like Bry, and like Ming was there like anytime I saw him, like,
we're gonna get to the Ming part. Don't worry. We're gonna get to the Ming part.
He's angry.
Yeah, I love Ming, but I do, unfortunately, I hate to say that I had to come into his studio with a bone to pick. I love Ming Chen, but
he was like, anytime I saw Ming, he was surrounded by ants. Like that, like what you were saying, like this felt like a Tell 'em Steve Dave crew. Yeah. That's how it felt for me too.
Every morning he was sitting down having coffee right on the top deck, and everybody was just like, we'd all meet down there.
Yeah.
So
I remember having breakfast with you and your family every single morning.
Yeah.
I heard someone describe the con pretty well, or I said that fucked up. I heard someone describe the cruise pretty well as like a 4-day nonstop con that you can't leave.
Yeah.
And that makes perfect sense, because like with the amount of like easily access celebrities just walking around the boat that you would normally, especially because it's got that con hype to it. So these people could walk in and out of a Starbucks without every single person being on their tail or carrying it. They can live a semi-normal life, but not on this boat. Not on this boat at all. Like, you're Steve-O, and you're not gonna not be Steve-O until you get off the boat.
Like, in between shows, there was only a couple shows that I was able to catch because I was hanging out with ants the entire time.
You're like, I don't know. I kind of just want to stay right here and continue to.
I did want to go to this, Eric Andre show, but I missed it because I'm like, I just don't want to stop hanging out with ants right now.
And you mean to tell me that the past cruises weren't anything like that?
They were sporadic, right? So it was maybe in an ant mute, we'd have maybe 10 people on the boat.
Wow.
Like 10.
There was hundreds of people.
Yeah,
it felt
hundreds. There was so many ants at that meet.
Oh, so many ants. Insane amount of just hardcore. And you can always tell, like, the merch speaks for itself,
right.
Obviously. Like, and like getting on the boat, I immediately scoped you when you were waiting. I immediately, I didn't see Gula, but I saw him 10 minutes after getting on the boat because of the vest. And so that's how you know you got the tried and true there.
I think Ming was the one that introduced us. Because I was drinking with Ming on the pool deck on the first day.
Okay, all right. So I might have to rescind the bone.
He was really angry at Ming last night, wasn't he?
He was angry.
You were like,
it was that whiskey.
It was probably the Irish whiskey we were drinking.
Yeah, I was feeling a little Irish. I was letting my flan pig flow.
The cool thing about like the cruise though is like not only did people make friends, people had like made relationships. Mm-hmm. I think it was like this cruise in particular, which just had such a lasting effect on a lot of people.
To go even further back, I also wanted to talk about like where the first time you were basically introduced to Tell 'em Steve Dave, in the way that you thought like this is something that I'm just gonna keep coming back to. Like, this is really something.
So my introduction to Tell 'em Steve Dave was through my brother. 2011, I started listening to the pod, and my brother basically was like, hey, those guys, Kevin Smith and Tell 'em Steve Dave, fanboy and stuff like that. And they got a podcast. And I'm like, what the hell is a podcast? I didn't even know what it was. I didn't really have anything to listen to it on there. And I just like picked up a couple of instruments to listen to it. And I was like, yep, this is my podcast. And it's the only podcast I listen to. And the funny thing about that is my brother no longer listens to Tell 'em Steve Dave.
You're saying on recording you don't listen to Fun Bearable?
I don't.
Oh, okay.
I don't.
Get him.
I don't get him. I know.
Not even reviewing history?
No.
Dude, he's got TSD in his blood.
I listen to Tell 'em Steve Dave.
That's why we're here.
Basically, the only podcast I listen to, and it's funny because, well, we'll talk about the thing I have with Chuck when you introduce Chuck.
Yeah, can we introduce?
No,
Chuck?
I was hoping we'd go the whole time. I wanted this to be 99% me sitting here and listening quietly.
You wish I would let him off.
Why don't you go ahead and introduce our other guest?
Ladies and gentlemen, Chuck S. Because I can never figure out how to. What's the priest? Set the record straight.
Here's how you say my last name. Staton.
Staton. Thank
So
you.
think about Satan and add an extra T.
You know what? I actually remember you saying that from the first time I heard you on Tessie. So
Oh, there you go. Yeah. Chuck Staton.
I also very fondly remember the enemy story.
Oh, yeah. Thank you very much. My claim to fame.
My wife still knows you as the enemy guy.
I'm so proud.
yeah.
That's funny because you said you've been listening for 10 years and you started when you were 14?
Yeah.
So you're 24?
Yeah. Well, 20. Well, okay. So those numbers probably aren't 100% accurate.
That's why you're here for math, Chuck. That's why
Okay.
you're here for
Yeah,
math.
We need you for
Thank you.
that.
Yeah.
Well, I'm like, I was on what episode? Like, how many years ago was that? That was a long time ago. So you might have been like 12 when you heard that.
Yeah.
No, not 12, but
I was a late. I have a late birthday, so I turned 13 after my end of my 8th grade year. So yeah,
same thing with me. I turned.
14.
Yeah, I was 17 when I graduated high school. But yeah, so you heard that when you were quite young.
Yes,
You know what I mean? So I might have even educated you about enemas.
100%. I had no fucking clue what it is.
I was there to teach about. Today I'm here about math. Then I was to get some medical information out there about your own anus health, and stuff like that.
You're here for the people.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly.
So Justin, what about you?
You're not going to introduce Natalie?
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Oh my God! Wow. We should have given you the hosting fucking gig, guy.
We should have flipped that coin before
We
we
should have,
should have
guy.
flipped that coin
So
before we decided it.
Before we showed up, we're like, who's going to host it? And it was between you and I. I'm like, fuck it, you could just do it.
I think a bad host would be ashamed of how they've done it, but I'm going to stand on my ground here, and I'm going to say that Natalie had a better introduction later on. So, you guys just don't know how to. Where's your yes and energy?
Yes, sir. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Please sit there and wait.
In fact, because of that, we're going to skip you. I want to know about when did you start? How did you even get into it?
Tell him, Steve Dave.
Yeah.
I was listening to Smodcast a long time ago, and Walt and Brian would be on once in a while, and they would tell stories, and they were some of my favorite episodes. And at some point, Tell him, Steve Dave started. I'm guessing that was in 2009, right? Does that sound right?
Yeah,
Or is it
2010, I think.
Yeah, maybe 2010. And so I actually bought a house in 2011 at the end of the year. And I remember I started listening to Tell 'em Steve Dave as we were fixing up the house, because it's one of those things where you buy a house and then you do all the sanding and painting and all that bullshit. And you're just there for like, you'll be like, all right, I come here at 6 p.m. and I leave at 11 and I just work the whole time. And that's when I got into Tell 'em Steve Dave, and I was like, just like barreling through the catalog. This is probably starting January 2012. But it was from the Smodcast
So
episodes.
much of a catalog there too. You probably absolutely murdered it a couple times.
Yeah. So that's when I got into them, and it was definitely from Smodcast. And I remember I didn't even know about Impractical Jokers. And so I think, if I remember correctly, season 1 of Jokers and season 1 of Comic Book Men were like 1 year and then the next year. And so I think I originally got into Tell 'em Steve Dave, then jumped into that stuff, and then I think I got deeper into Tell 'em Steve Dave, and then I think that was pretty much it. And then in 2016 is when we started working together.
Were you like one of the people, like, would you re-listen to episodes and kind of like go back chronologically? Like,
I would definitely do it chronologically, and I think in the beginning, I would listen to big milestone episodes, like 200, whatever, or the Halloween episodes, stuff like that. But I was a big person to like push them on other people. I was the type of person to, even I remember back then making like a data CDR of like a bunch of episodes that I liked for my friends so that they could check out the ones that I thought were the best. So we used to listen to big ones for sure in the beginning. Yeah. And the reason I actually pushed my way in was because they so rarely did the live shows, and then they were doing the live shows, and I was like, you're not going to film this? Because they didn't have any film at that point in time. And it was weird because I remember I was listening to like the Pod Olympics, the Bicentennial Battle, and I was like, no one's filming this stuff?
Yeah.
Like, there's no video record of any of these 12 people gathered in the comic book store doing this thing and yelling at each other.
Quite literally, people would pay for this.
Yes, exactly. And I remember specifically that summer of 2016, they did a show earlier in the summer that we didn't film. They did it in Brooklyn. And I went to that show, and I had reached out to everybody, Ryan and Walt, and I was like, can I come film this? People are flying in from England. Like, you know what I mean? Like, this is like a big deal. And no one really answered me, or maybe Walt kind of blew me off. He was like, thanks so much. Like, and not even acknowledging what I was saying. And so, yeah, so I was like, this is crazy. I think one of the things that shocked me, because it was like very punk rock to me to have this show with like 10 people on mic sometimes, to have all these games and have them yelling and screaming and people getting invested in a negative way. And, yeah, it just felt very like punk and underground to me at the time. Now podcasting is so ubiquitous that I think you can look in a million places for that stuff. And but at the time, especially, I came up in a punk rock band from 2004 to 2018, 19. Yeah, it felt like a new version of like making something super DIY and punk rock. And I think that Tell 'em Steve Dave was really my introduction to how unique that could get, which is why I was attracted to it.
Yeah, exactly what you're talking about right there. This thing is why the re-listenability is so, it's so right there, because that it replays like that exactly. It feels like that pirate radio. You're like,
yeah, it does.
Rediscovering it every
No, it absolutely does. Yeah, it's very
no
strange.
How dated it might be, even.
Yeah,
it's still like I still love all the bets and shit. How they swill in
for sure, absolutely.
So this is a great time to introduce Natalie. Actually,
that's right. Yeah,
Natalie, would you like to?
This is my girlfriend, Natalie.
Would you like to speak? What an intro! He was just like, I got something planned. Natalie, would you like to speak? That was your plan.
Segue king.
This is Natalie Kopriva. This is my girlfriend.
Hi.
She's been here the whole time. She's like the ghost in that movie. What's that movie? Is it the guy? It's fucking this James Wan. He directed Saw. There's another very popular series about the ghost hunters in Rhode Island, and it has like there's one scene of the red little like demon boy, and his face is half black and half red, and he's opening his mouth behind him, and it's like one of the scariest images in horror apparently. And that's what Natalie was this whole time. The Conjuring, right? Is it The Conjuring? Yeah, there you go. I got there.
Accurate, because she's been smiling almost.
She is.
I've never met someone happier, except for maybe Ming Chen. Speaking of Ming Chen, let's get back into these cruise stories real quick. So,
yeah,
I want to go over this beef that I have with Ming.
I want to hear this.
So he told us about this last night. We were watching episode 600, and then randomly he goes, fuck Ming. And I'm like, whoa.
For what? What happened? What happened?
And take note. Look at where you are.
Okay. It was the whiskey talking, I promise. I love Ming. I don't hate Ming, but...
Is that not what he said last night?
That's not what he said last night, but that's...
Yeah.
We had a big birthday party for Jimmy last night. And
the invite.
I wanted Ming to come, but he was giving me the runaround this week when I was talking to him about it. And then last night, I'm like, are you coming? I'm grabbing pizza. And he was like, I'm in Omaha. I was like, maybe you could have said that when I was first talking to you.
Well, if you would have just opened Instagram at all, you would have seen every...
Wait, you don't follow Ming's every move?
Yeah.
By the way, speaking of that first Gramercy recording, earlier in this, you guys mentioned Where in the World is Ming Chen? I pitched that as a board game to Walt.
Oh, nice.
I pitched because if you remember with the Gramercy Blu-ray, was it Gramercy? No, it was Elephants in the Room.
Elephant, yeah.
We were doing all the commercials. We were doing like listener submitted commercials, and we made a couple of them. I made one for a dyslexia board game. My ex-girlfriend at the time made one about 13 percenters and it being like a drug problem, and we did a couple ourselves. And I pitched the idea of Ming's family as the players. Of where in the world is Ming Chen, and like you play as like his wife and his kids, and you're trying to figure out where their dad is. And
That's amazing.
isn't that a good idea? I wanted to develop it. I know it's funny, but Walt said no at the time, but maybe he would say yes now later on.
The look on their face when they realize it's just a map of the Earth and you hand them a set of darts. They're like, you have to pay to get there too.
Exactly.
It's the Virgin Islands. No, but so my you guys can't distance yourself from this because you guys also were involved in
Chen.
So on the cruise, he was one of the most inviting and warm, awesome people to be around. He said hi with everybody, took videos and pictures. He was just incredible. Had a fantastic time with him until it came time to that private party.
What do you do?
Now it was after like all the shows were done for the night.
Oh, I know.
The nights you were probably in that party, weren't you?
Hey, come on. Keep it clean.
No. I gotta know. Hey,
No, I wasn't in the party, but I know about the party.
Oh, okay.
I knew about it, yeah.
Okay. All right. So then you have context for outside, like us, the haters.
No, he was probably invited. He just
Oh,
didn't
yeah.
go.
Well, it was a little bit weird for me in terms of like time because like I was doing all this stuff. So I kind of had to make a lot of choices about what I was going to do. Also, directly after Space Monkeys, I filmed every one of them. So then I had to go through.
Okay, yeah.
I had to go through the entire breakdown process and move all my equipment and stuff like that. So it's like everyone else got to go off stage and then go do whatever they want. But for me, it was probably like another hour or so until I could even do anything.
Yeah.
And a lot of times I went to karaoke instead, like right away, because it was fun.
Real quick, I want to. I did a version of it at the Ant Moot, but I do want to thank you for doing all that footwork, like being the one to stay behind it, or even just throughout the years, all the different filming. And
thank you very much.
Insisting on being that guy, like
I appreciate that, and I really pushed to film it too. It was like that wasn't really in the cards, and I was like, I'm just gonna bring all my camera equipment, and I'm gonna ask them a little bit before the show, because I think it's like at that point it'll become, yeah, why not? And then we'll at least have the footage, and that's exactly what happened. So we do have all 3 shows recorded. With multiple angles and stuff like that. I think they're great, especially night 2, I think is the best.
Oh, night 2 was the best.
Yeah, that we were all 3 front row.
Yeah.
You know what? So everyone here is on the Patreon?
Yep.
Tell them Steve Dave Patreon. On Tales episode 29, which is not out yet, there will be footage from that.
Awesome.
But hey, don't get your hopes. This is 4 seconds of non-audio, just video footage in that main room.
It's
something.
It's the amount of serotonin I'm looking
Yeah.
for.
Yeah, the next episode they cover is when the Run DMC episode. So Nichelle makes a comment about he's like Ming's raps have always gone over well. So I'm like, I'll use some footage from the cruise. So I did. But yeah, I hope they come out. I hope those videos come out.
Yeah, that rap alone, it needs to be seen.
Yeah.
That battle was incredible.
Yeah, and I have the first one edited a long time ago, maybe like 3 months ago, and I sent it to Quinn and Brian to approve, because that's really the reason they don't want to put it out is because they think of Space Monkeys as a late night kind of tipsy show where anything goes, and I think that the Jokers in general really diverge from that. You know what I mean? They're kind of, they're careful about their image. Obviously, it's 2024. However, I can't think of anything offensive in night 1 and 2.
No.
I think night 3 is unreleasable because of how sloppy and shitty everyone is.
I barely remember that.
Just in terms of being drunk. And it was fun in the room, and everyone's having fun. It's a very, very jolly time. I just don't think it needs to come out. But night 1 and 2 are excellent podcasts that are super funny and there's nothing really offensive in them.
I'm sure I'm not like spoiling anything too much by saying this, but I think the only thing that would have been borderline labeled offensive is just anything that was covered in roll.
Yeah, but that was more like they're laughing at the choices, and also all that roll stuff has already kind of We've already done so much of that.
Okay, fair enough.
You know what I mean? We've already covered that. So I don't think that's a problem. I think they're just kind of like.
You never know.
I know, but I'm hoping they approve it. You know,
existed in the ether for years before people just up and decided that wasn't okay anymore. So
I agree. Hey,
roll could be next on the chopping block. We don't need that.
Well, it's like, how many shows have you seen that they've never released?
All of them. They did one in 2020, I believe. They had one show.
Yeah.
And the rest of them, I will say though, most of the shows they can't put that stuff out. There's some crazy things that they've said and done at that late night situation, especially with the Jokers.
Yeah.
And there's no way that could ever see the light of day.
It's funny too. I don't know. I wonder if maybe they would be more open to it now. Sal was on, like, I produced the show Tuesdays with Stories with Mark Norman and Joe List, and I directed a live shoot at the Gramercy last year, and Sal was on it, and he said some stuff that I was really surprised that he would say in like a live recorded setting that is now out in the ether and stuff like that. So, way worse than anything that was on the Space Monkeys shows for sure that I filmed. You know,
hopefully that's a sign that maybe we're moving away. Like it was just a phase for the world, you know.
Well,
maybe we're moving back into a space where we can find a line.
I know we're gonna have to see. It's always gonna be a pendulum that swings, but you never know where you are exactly. You know what I mean? It's weird. It's a weird
until
thing.
You're on the other side of it. Unfortunately,
yeah, exactly.
Yeah, this stupid Ming story. I just want to get it over.
Okay, yeah.
Also, another disclaimer. I didn't even want to get into this party. You guys remember? I kept telling us like, let's not.
It was mostly myself and Nick that were alone. Like,
so and you could have got us in if you wore the high heels. You had the chance to wear the high heels and get into the show, but you didn't want to.
Let's set the stage for people though. Like, so after night 2, it was the big show. It was we were just talking about that, and then immediately after that, they had like a red rope party in one of the bars. And we saw Jimmy and Officer Troy and like a bunch of Tell 'em Steve Dave people go in, and I don't remember. I was so drunk that night, but I think it might have been Jimmy that was just like, oh yeah, like we'll see if we get you guys in. Like that's no problem.
Yeah.
You were nervous, Rick. You're like, no. The two of us were like, fuck it.
You got your classic like silent stoic bouncer cross-armed with clipboard out front.
Yeah. I didn't think we were gonna get in, but then when Officer Troy came out and he was like, yeah, and he was all like, because he's awesome, but he came out and he was like, yeah, I'll do that. I'm like, wait a minute, this is in the realm of a possibility here.
By the time Officer Troy said that, I looked behind me to see where John was, and he was on the other side of the room. He was just like, nope, because like.
We should have known better than that wasn't really Troy's environment anyway, because he went in, immediately turned right back out. He looked like a deer in headlights.
Yeah, it was like this ain't my party.
He didn't even know where to start when he got in there. I think he's a lot more like laid back.
Yeah. And then do you remember who it was that offered me the high heels?
It was that can't remember her name, the one with the OnlyFans page.
Kim.
She came up and she was like, "Oh, this thing," and she was talking about the party, and you were like, "Oh, it's because we're not chicks, right?"
Right.
So then she goes, "Well, I'll give you my high heels," and I go, "Justin, that's our way in. Put the high heels on and let's go." And but it didn't work.
See, that's funny and all, but then it came to be a reality. When shout out to Kat, she was on her way. You know, it was arms linked together with other 13%ers.
Yeah.
They were on their way to the party, and we're like, "Are you going in there?" And she's like, "Yeah, Ming's getting us in." And I was like, "Motherfucker!"
Oh yeah,
because we had seen Ming go in, and he was just like, "Oh, I'm going in there." We're like, "Oh, you should let us in," and he's just like, "Oh, okay, yeah." And he goes in, never see him again. Then they go in. Obviously, they have an in as if they're holding like a golden ticket walking up to the bouncer. And so she goes, I'll talk to Ming. Don't just give me 10 minutes. And she goes in. 2-3 hours later, we see all these 13%ers up on the pool deck after we have just crafted what is one of the most powerful friendships I have in my adult life now, of just being just hammered. Nobody up on the pool deck. All of us just hammered, stumbling around and sharing war stories and stuff. Yeah. We eventually bump into them again, and she tells us, Ming said, no guys.
No tits, no entry.
It's a party, man. You know how it is. No tits, no entry.
Yeah.
And I'm like, what the fuck? So I immediately like flip side of being like, I had no interest of being into this party. Of being like, that son of a bitch for the rest of the night.
It was so funny.
Just screaming out to the ocean.
It was
Cursing
that's
against me.
classic. Tell him Steve Dave though. We
got
couldn't
that.
get into the party, so we hung out on the pool deck by the fucking trash cans where we belong.
Like true wannabes.
Yeah.
Absolute wannabes. In the best
But we ended up getting even better because that girl Audra had that.
Oh yeah.
That was an even
came
better
through.
fucking party.
She had a better party. So.
What do
Yeah.
you mean? Where was the party?
Oh, it was on the pool deck.
Pool
we were
deck,
all
we
getting in the fucking.
but we didn't have smoke. And
Yeah.
this chick Audra that we met, I think she was with Kate.
Yeah.
She just comes up and she goes, "I've been just holding this the whole time, and I don't have a lighter. Do you have a lighter?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I'll get you a lighter. We're gonna get you a lighter." So then she sparked it up, and we were like, "Holy Christ!" Because we haven't smoked since.
It was a
since
ton
we-
of like ants that couldn't get into the party. We're all like,
Yeah.
Call me a lazy, horrible cement head. Can't go without my drugs, but I did have a little bit of anxiety of just like, how am I gonna go this whole week?
You didn't sneak any on?
No, I'm paranoid as hell. I'm terrified. I don't do a lot of traveling like that.
Yeah.
So,
You should have keistered it, man.
I had
Boof
so
that
many
shit.
other people do
Boof
it
it.
for me to make me realize that that's all it took. I
Yeah.
just had to nut up and do what it takes.
All I did was put it under my shampoo.
Yeah, I heard a lot of stories like that.
I mean, I don't know.
I put it in my this little thing I had. I put pens in there.
Yeah, but Audra definitely came through.
Yeah.
And it's this funny effect that I've had. Like, I moved to Arizona, and I was
Yeah.
like, how do I just make it appear? Do I just, like, start, like, elbowing people and being like, man, I could really go for marijuana at this moment?
Is it legal in Arizona?
It wasn't when I moved.
Oh, yeah, right.
It is now.
Yeah.
So, but... I
Yeah,
was
but
so
what
worried
about your
it.
new state?
No. No, it's very illegal there.
Where do you live now?
I live in Iowa.
Ah, wow. How many states is it illegal in? Not that many, right?
It's-
25 now,
it's
I
a
think?
majority still.
25 at least.
25 are illegal?
Illegal.
Wow.
Yeah.
I guess it doesn't matter which one is legal or illegal if
Yeah.
there's 25 because that's exactly half. But that's really strange. I kind of thought I didn't even realize that.
Yeah, it's getting...
New Hampshire New Hampshire's illegal, and that's like one of the like
it's one of the only states in,
Oh, yeah.
in New England.
that
the
whole-
only
Live
state in
free
New
or
England.
die, but
It's-
if you smoke a joint,
You're gonna
fucked.
die.
It's crazy because like I live in New York. I have a house in Rhode Island that I go to, and my girlfriend Natalie here lives in Colorado. So I just travel all the time. I don't even think about it.
Yeah, I work in the cannabis industry, so like it's my life. It's how I make money, and it's completely legal. I work for a factory, and then I started off trimming cannabis for like 4 years.
Yeah.
and now I'm like a sales dude. So now I just drive around to dispensaries selling weed. Like it's
Wow.
yeah.
I didn't realize that. That's crazy.
I try to lead my life like that, but I definitely live in like the middle of the prohibition where it's still very, very much, it's hard to get. And I was, so I'm not far from Illinois, and Illinois is legal now. And I was able to get it, but they had just tightened up some laws over there in the amount of, or the kinds of places that can sell it. So it was loosened a bit so that it was more kind of like head shops.
Yeah.
We're even able to sell sort of stuff like that, but they tightened up the laws to, I guess you can't. It has to be like a licensed dispensary to be able to. So
Wow.
nowhere near me is what I'm trying to say. Like
Yeah,
the
yeah.
ones that were near me, they got nixed.
Yeah,
And so now it made it
Wow.
even harder. So I'm back to like I'm on the streets.
Back home in Farmington, there's like I think there's 7 dispensaries in one town, and it's
It's crazy.
it's everywhere. I still think that we had a better time not getting into that party. Is like we all got to hang out.
I agree. So we partied all night long until we couldn't anymore. And you guys and your ladies ended up having to eventually go to bed. And I was like, it's like 4 a.m. and I just want to see what else can this night bring me. I'm just hanging on for dear life. Have a great time.
You're sick. I love it.
Thank you.
He is. He's yeah.
Well, it helped because he had this moment where he like put me in perspective. I just finished smoking this joint.
Yeah.
We have the drink packages, and I'm on vacation, so it's a triple threat of brain obliteration.
Yeah, right.
And on top of that, like I've never gone on a very extravagant vacation, really. Just Iowa born and bred. So I'm just kind of staring out into the open dark, and he just starts hitting me with the, "You're on a cruise. You're on an IJ cruise. This is the best day of your life."
He did that same shit to me too.
Matt Brian Johnson, you're part of the lore now.
You're part of the lore. He said that shit to me, that you're part of the lore now, and Harley heard it. Now she'll just hit that with me like randomly.
Alyssa
like
too, my wife.
She's like, "You're part of the lore." I'm like, I'm not.
Well, you can when they talk about it on the pod, because eventually they do talk about it on Tell 'em Steve Dave, and you just think back, oh well, like the Indians, right? I was there at the thing, and when they're talking about it on the pod, I'm like, shit, I was there at that event, that monumental event with that thing that sparked the next cruise, which was the yoga. Brian had to do the yoga retreat. That was awesome, and there was some audio to that, but it was so windy on the top deck they couldn't use it, and it sucked because I had like a thing with Brian talking on the pod, because I in 2013 I donated my kidney to my two people. Actually, I saved 2 people, and I donated my kidney down in Atlanta, and his wife came up and donated to my stepson.
That's awesome.
Thank you. So
my mom needs a kidney, so I appreciate that a lot.
Yeah, I think if everybody did that, then we'd have plenty of kidneys, and we only need one. And so I've been blessed. I can do that, and I feel if.
Why are you being such a dick about your other one?
Well,
give it to somebody.
I'm gonna give it to somebody. Yeah, I should just give it to somebody. Dialysis is fun. We could do dialysis and stuff like that. Just hook me up into the machine.
Yeah, right.
Screw it. Yeah. I've lived a good life. I've been on a cruise.
You're part of the lore.
Yeah,
I'm part of the lore now, so I can just go away.
Yeah.
But besides that, so I was on the cruise, and I had my donor shirt on, and we were doing things. So Bri just came right up to me, and he's like, "What's the shirt?" So I was like, I told him the story, and Q was like, "Holy shit, that's amazing," and all this stuff. And he says, and Bri just goes to me, he turns around, and he goes, "You're making me look bad. Get out of here. Go down over there." So it was like kind of a thing. We had a thing together during that thing. And you think about that when they talk about those. When they talk about the cruises, you think back to those moments, and it's like, yeah, I am part of the law.
You really are.
Part of the law.
Yeah. And then Justin said,
part of the law.
Part of the law.
I love it when he says that.
Part of the law.
His accent is my favorite part.
I think that should be the title of this. It's PAHT. So there's just like UH, the THA, and then law.
Law. The law.
Law. So it'd be like LOW hyphen UH.
I love
part
that.
of the law.
That's even better. That's a better name.
That's fucking awesome.
That is awesome.
That's great. Dude, Harley says that shit to me all the time, and it drives me crazy. I'm like haunted by it at home. Like I emailed Walt about this trip, and he got back to me like, "Cool." That's all he said. And she goes, "You're part of the law."
That's fucking funny. Every time you get shit on, your wife saying, "You're part of the law."
She does.
Really funny.
I'll be like listening to it, doing dishes, and she'll be like, "You're part of the law."
And she actually did get a really, really good shout out on the like.
Yeah, you did.
Yeah, I did. That blew, and on your show, which also blew my mind.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
very
we talked
well
about it too.
deserved.
Yeah.
The outfit. Was
So what we're talking about is that lip sync battle, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. That was really cool. That was like
cool.
As soon as I booked it, I was like,
I don't think if Natalie knows, this is the guy that dressed up as the White Baron.
Yeah.
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 Justin Kyle. And also, just for a little context, I was on your podcast like how long ago?
Oh my God, like 5 years ago.
Mr. Whiskers Funhouse. Very long
Funhouse,
time ago. Yeah. That was a great time.
That was so fun. Like I haven't recorded. This is the first podcast I've recorded in like 4 years since I've ended it. Yeah.
I insisted. I was like, "You gotta come out."
I'm out of retirement now.
You're part of the law.
That's fucking awesome.
Chuck can wait his turn.
But you know how Tell 'em Steve Dave does the snippets in front of the thing? Now we need that. We have Chuck, part of the law. We'll just put that in the front of the podcast. You're part of the law.
See if I could have Stephen Grist give us a fucking theme intro or something.
I'll do it.
That's cool. No, but so the lip sync thing, as soon as we booked it, I was like looking up on YouTube like videos of previous IJ cruises, and all I found was like lip sync battles. I'm like, this might be kind of fun.
Yeah.
And then when they announced it, I signed up. But it was months of like, I don't know what I want to do. I want to do a Tell 'em Steve Dave thing for sure. But at first I was going to be Baron Von Flanagan, and I was going to sing Welcome to My Nightmare by Alice Cooper.
Yeah, that's fun.
But I'm like, that's such a long fucking song. So like I ended up landing on the White Baron, also because I have the beard, and I thought like the Baron, like I should try to make it as accurate as possible. So like I'll do the White Baron. So Harley was the one that came up with the song to use I Can Only Count to 4, which was like fucking perfect. It was like a 2-minute song about counting. And I'm like, this is perfect.
And I think just the image of the White Baron's face added to it as well. So if you're not even on board, it was still entertaining.
Yeah, exactly. Right. Like so I did the lip sync thing, and then Q like cusses me off stage, right? Like he's like, I fucking hate you. You suck. Get off the stage. Whatever. So like I was into it. I ripped the mask off and I went off stage. As soon as I went off stage, I was standing at the bar getting a drink, and this little like 4-year-old, 5-year-old girl runs up to me and she says, "You did such a good job. Don't listen to Q. He's such a jerk." She gave me a hug. That was like the crown on the whole thing.
The little girl, she comes up to you, she pulls your thing, we dig down, she whispers, "You're part of the law."
Who are you?
You're like, what the fuck?
Shaking her.
Why do you sound 55?
Right.
And from Massachusetts.
Yeah, really.
Why do you sound like you're Mark Wahlberg?
So you're from Massachusetts?
I am. I'm from New Bedford.
Oh, that's interesting. I'm right. Warren's right near New Bedford. My house in Warren is right. It's 15 minutes away. Oh, you go to No Problemo Burrito?
Yeah.
Oh, fuck yeah, buddy.
Beef and bean burrito, baby.
Dude, they have the Stinky Rose. How about that with garlic?
Yeah.
That's a good place.
Good place.
Now
Good taco place. Yeah.
I love that place.
It's funny because you know Brad. You know Brad.
My buddy Brad,
You know
who
Brad?
is a co-host of my podcast, Fun Bearable.
Yeah. Shout out to that.
Yeah.
I used to work with him at UMass Dartmouth.
I know, that's crazy. I know.
And I was like,
I had no idea because we talked on the cruise a bunch, and I had no idea you had a connection to Brad. And then you messaged me, and you're like, "Oh, by the way," and I was like, "Oh my god, that's fucking bizarre, man."
so weird because he was like the only person that like knew about Tell 'em Steve Dave way before like I knew anything.
Yeah.
And then it came out that he's on your podcast, and I'm like,
Yeah.
like, how is this in the realm of possibility?
Yeah, and Brad is also part of the law. Because like Walt really likes Brad a lot.
Yeah.
So when we did the last Toho video, he reached out to me. He's like, "I want you and Brad to come up with all the ideas for the jokes at the end for the Mecha Kong, like get him being in all those different movies." That was me and Brad coming up with all that stuff.
Nice.
Yeah, it's funny. Yeah, Brad's a wonderful guy. He's like the best guy ever. He's my best friend, and he's one of the funniest people I ever met in my whole life. I think he's so fucking funny.
Hell yeah.
He's the best.
Yeah.
That's crazy. Yeah.
Before we even get close to ending this pod, I just want to finish it out and saying I don't have real beef with Ming because we did end up squashing it.
He's still on this.
He's still on
He's
the
still
Ming
on it.
beef.
He's on
now
the
he's
beef.
worried. He's like, now Ming hates me. He called him out.
I don't think anyone could have real beef with me.
No, I think it's
That'd
impossible.
be like having
Not
beef
even a cow.
with like, Bugs Bunny or like some other cartoon character. It doesn't make any sense.
Yeah.
I ended up finding him at the bar at 4 a.m. with the most random assortment of people, like truly the people hanging on at the end of the night.
Oh, yeah.
DJ Doug Pound was there,
Oh, yeah.
surrounded by just other women that are just like hanging out, drunk as fuck, and I'm probably going to hit the buffet in the next 20 minutes.
Yeah.
And then it's standing in the middle of all these people, the one and only Ming Chen. And so I lock eyes with him and immediately dart right to him. And I'm like, Ming, arms open. And he's like, hey!
Oh, you were so mad.
I pick him up and I squeeze him so hard. I heard every one of his vertebrae pop. They're like, "Hey, buddy!" And then I'm like, grabbing his shoulder. I'm just like, "How was the party? Yeah, I heard you wouldn't let us in." And he's like, "Oh!" doing the whole Ming routine. But we ended up squashing it, probably because two things. It's incredibly hard to stay mad at Ming because of how smiley and outward positive he is, and also when it's 4 a.m. and I have no idea just how many drinks I've had. I to this day I still want to know if there's some sort of itinerary so I could see how many of those Long Islands I ordered, because they might as well have put it up a conveyor belt. Like it was just,
like Homer Simpson eating donuts.
Yeah. So it was interesting because that was after the Space Monkeys that he was talking about all the beef with him and Brian were talking about the beef with him and Mike.
Yeah.
And about how he doesn't really talk to Mike all that much, and it is what it is, and Mike just doesn't apologize, and he takes things so sensitively. And then at the bar it was, "I love Mike, and I don't hate anybody. I don't have problems with anybody, and I love all of you." And then I was like, and Rob Bruce, and he's like, "Rob Bruce, and rest in peace, Rob Bruce." And we went literally like person to person with each of our drinks. I don't give a fuck if you're an aunt or not. We were like, "To Rob Bruce," and everybody's like, shoulder to shoulder.
That's cool.
It was actually,
he did that a couple times on the cruise.
Did he?
Yeah, he cheers Rob Bruce a couple times.
Okay, so
you remember that dinner that we all had?
Yeah.
It was on the third Space Monkeys night, I think. We all had like a separate ant moot. I ran around the cruise, and everyone that had a Tell 'em Steve Dave shirt, I was like, "We're meeting in whatever that fancy restaurant was." I can't remember what it was called.
Oh, you know what? I did end up showing up at the end of that.
Yeah. Because I got that picture of me, you, and Jimmy together.
Yeah.
In the Summer Palace.
Yeah, the Summer Palace. So I ran around the whole cruise, try to get people to go, and it was a decent turnout. But Ming and I and a couple other aunts were the only ones standing, and he was just like, randomly, "Rob Bruce," and we all did it, dude. We're like, "Rob Bruce."
Rob Bruce must not be forgotten.
That's funny.
Yeah.
No, it was really nice because I'm not gonna lie, I did forget about Rob Bruce up until that. Well, not forget about him, but I totally passed over my head that he had passed away up until that moment, and then of course everything's 20 times more emotional when you're hammered. So it was really a good moment. So Ming, if you're listening.
He's not.
Another person that has not gotten enough airtime on this specific podcast, Jimmy the Hair Guy.
Oh yeah, we haven't even talked about Jimmy yet.
Absolutely incredible. He was the first person that I interacted with on the boat, and my thing is, I was in the terminal waiting to get on the boat when I listened to the most recent one they put out, when they talked about how he was going to have the patches and you got to find him to figure out where the ant mood is. And so my wife could see the anxiety pouring over me because I'm looking at all these people and I'm like, this boat is massive. And I just have I'm not sure that I'm going to find him. Not even 20 minutes in the boat, we get in, and he turns the corner. He's very recognizable. If you ever watched it, or if you saw pictures or video of him buying the hair, or even watched Mystery Inc. or anything, you could probably spot him in a field of Asians. Well, because they're the same height. So you'd need other distinctions to pick him out.
Fair.
Listen to him say "fuck." That's a dead giveaway. Fuck.
Or just, "Oh my god."
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Dude, watching him, because I was at the buffet with you guys, and he was watching Steve-O eat breakfast.
Oh, Jimmy's crazy.
He was just like, "Oh my god."
"Oh my god, dude, are you serious? Michelle, take my picture. Is he over my shoulder?"
He's eating an apple. Oh my god.
So yesterday was Jimmy's, like I said, we were celebrating Jimmy's birthday last night. We had a party at the studio, and I was walking around Central Park Zoo yesterday with Natalie, and I was like, man, I want to get something Jimmy for his birthday. I want it to be unique and creative. and I ended up writing his eulogy, and we did it last night.
Nice.
Yeah, and like I made him come up and pretend he was dead, and then I read like a whole eulogy, but a lot of it was about his celebrity, what he considers to be a celebrity.
Yeah.
And he's a kook, and I've never seen someone so taken with fucking someone he likes. And the thing is, like, I think some people have like one person or two people like that, but for Jimmy, it's anybody that's ever been near a camera.
I'm finding that out too, and
it's crazy.
I didn't try to like go too hard on him about it too, because I know I'm very easily entertained. I'm trying to hide it, but I'm over the moon that I'm fucking potting with Chuck Staton right now.
I appreciate that.
In Red Bank, New Jersey.
In Red Bank,
in a shared universe. Like, I don't know if either of you noticed, but I almost threw up a couple minutes ago because I had to take a minute because like it's very emotionally overwhelming for me. I'm having.
You think he's hard?
Jimmy
I
would
think
have come
he's
if you
hard.
invited.
He's
if you
hard.
invited him today, he would have come.
Oh, I bet. Yeah.
Yeah, he would come. He was around last night. Can someone explain what's happening this weekend? Because we're doing something.
Okay,
right?
so I'm
I'm so fucking confused.
I gotta.
Because weeks ago, Jimmy.
This is the best.
He's like,
Listen up.
He's like, hey, dude. Oh my god, dude. He's like, all these ants are coming into Jersey, and we're gonna hang out Saturday and Sunday, doing all this stuff. We're doing this. I want you to come. Blah blah. I'm like, all right, I'll come. And then like, I was like, oh, whatever. I'm happy to be there, and I'm gonna be there. I have, I reserved Sunday to hang out with everybody. I didn't even know the plan. I'm just down for it. And then like it got closer and it changed and I didn't know what happened. Explain this to me. What happened?
So, first of all, apologies. So I knew you were going to be here for the podcast, but like I had no idea that you were also hanging out on Sunday.
Yeah, Jimmy is the one that told me about it.
Yeah, so like I was talking to Jimmy, and like months ago when we were all talking about this, he was just like, yeah, I'll give you a tour and all this stuff, and like, okay, sweet. So like he wanted to make it like a public thing for ants. I'm like, okay, cool. I'll make like a post that we could share it around, whatever. Yeah. So I made the post and I sent it to him. I'm like, just to make sure the info is correct, that I'm not missing anything.
Wow.
And he's like, fuck yeah. And then next thing I know, he's sending it to the TSD town group chat. I'm like, fuck it. I guess it's good enough. You know what I mean? So I just shared it around. And then he's like, what the fuck? I'm there too. I'm not on the poster. I'm like, fuck. So yeah, I mean, ultimately, it is Jimmy's fault.
It always is. I'm not surprised. He's such a little spotlight whore. People think that he's like this cute little guy. He came in, oh my God, I love her. This guy is fucking so full of himself. He has such an ego. We walked off the boat and he said that because of his rap, he could have had any woman on the boat. I want to put that out there that Jimmy, the hair guy, that's who he is in deep inside. That's who he is. Out when you see him, he's fucking 2 feet tall. He's like Chucky running around, all excited.
It's not the entourage of people following.
Yeah,
right. It's the goofy rap.
Yeah. He's hugging people's legs. He looks like he's all starstruck. In real life, he's like, I could fuck any bitch I see. And I'm like, are you crazy? Like, it's fucking bananas. Wow. I'm telling you, he has such an ego and he's such an attention whore. It's crazy.
Should we just say fuck Sunday and then do it today? And then he shows up tomorrow and he's completely alone.
Oh my God. No, but I know him well now and I know how he is. And he has a little persona that people don't realize is not truly.
I think the Jimmy the Juggalo is proof enough of that.
Yeah. No, by the way, I'm kidding about the fact that his persona is fake. His persona is real. You're just not seeing the whole picture.
Yeah.
When he's on Tell 'em Steve Dave, he's all starstruck and everything, but behind the scenes, he's a little bit more full of himself.
Yeah. It's a lot to take in, and you also don't want to be the main focal point ever. I feel like you never want to do that.
Or anybody
in general. I just
I don't know. I get the idea of being like, oh, he's excited. He has Jimmy the hair, the Jimmy the what the fuck, Mystery Inc. Like, I get that he's excited for that, but yeah, he's just he's different than what you think. It's a really funny thing. Last night we were just like talking about anything random, and he goes, "Hey, when am I going to be on Fun Bearable, Chuck? When am I going to be on Fun Bearable?" And I'm like, we're talking about fucking like mayonnaise. Like, why are you bringing this up? And he did it multiple times, right?
Yes.
And I was like, Jesus Christ, man, chill out. But he's a little spotlight guy. So
that's a company man, from what it sounds.
Yeah, sort of. I mean, if the company is just him, yeah, he's you know what I mean. But great guy still. But yeah, that's who he is behind the scenes. It's hilarious.
I was there when Jimmy bought the hair.
Yeah, I was there.
Yeah.
Was I there? I think I was there later that night. I think.
Yeah.
You're
What day was
passing
it?
out coke.
Was it?
It was
11.
what was it was during the Stash 25th anniversary event. I don't remember exactly the day, but I remember actually I think it was May 7th because it was my birthday. Because I had gone to the Stash, did the whole Kevin Smith thing, and then when I was at the Q&A right before we go in, somebody was just like, "This is Jimmy. He's the next big Tell Him Steve Dave sensation," and I'm like, "Why? Who?"
By the way, that's the right response. Anytime Jimmy is brought up, the response should be "Why? Who?"
Yeah, and then he bought Q's hair, and I'm just like,
Yeah.
what?
The person saying that was just a puppet with Jimmy's.
right.
So I swear to God, I believe I was going to the studio later that night. There was something going on at the studio, and someone was texting me. Someone just bought Q's hair, and by the time I got there, he had been pulled into the podcast.
Yep.
So I was there as well that night. I don't remember exactly what the event was though.
Yeah, it was the 25th anniversary Stash event that was going on. As far that's why I came to Red Bank. That was going on, because it was the 25th anniversary of the Stash and also my 25th birthday.
Yeah.
So it was the same exact day.
That's funny.
Yeah, it was a trip though. Meeting, and then I introduced Ming to Jimmy. I'm like, this is the asshole that bought Q's hair.
Yeah.
And then Ming was just like, what the fuck? He's just gonna drink himself to death. Like, why would you ever give him that much money? Blah blah blah. Yeah. So it's like
Jimmy is still paying off that credit card debt. He's such an idiot.
if you look at his Instagram, how the fuck?
He doesn't.
Like, he's everywhere.
He does it by being a walking commodity.
Yeah.
He heard Get 'em say once upon a time that he has a brand, and that shit stuck with him forever. Yeah. It's just that's how I gotta be.
He started off buying domain.
Yeah. What's my name? Jimmy the Hair Guy.
We should see
if
Jimmy that's available.
Guy.
Is that available?
JimmyTheHairGuy.com.
Yeah.
That would be funny. That would be really funny to do that. That's great.
I would probably check with Get 'em first.
Keep talking. I'm gonna look it up.
Yeah, this is a great time. I actually, while we're talking about Jimmy, I kind of just want to go through everybody who made me feel like $1 million on that boat. The second person I ran into after Jimmy was Officer Troy.
Mm-hmm. Troy rules.
Dude.
That guy rules.
Easily my favorite. Sorry to everybody else on that boat. Easily my favorite. And that's not just because he told me the last night that I was his favorite ant.
Yeah.
And I'm always going to say that to everybody I talk to because that's an achievement for me. And somebody just told me recently, it was Nick, that you got to celebrate your wins. And I'm starting now, damn it.
Yeah.
Officer Troy likes me.
Troy rules.
And he was a lot like Ming, but less obvious. He was just everywhere. I turned around and was like, "Oh shit, Troy!"
He's huge. I didn't realize how
massive,
towering
dude.
he is.
Massive hands, massive everything.
Yeah. So to go back to the Jimmy the Hair Guy domain, that domain is already taken, and it's currently worth $70.
I wonder why it's taken. It's not him. I'm sure it's not him.
No,
It's really strange.
Yeah.
Really weird.
It's a hairstylist somewhere.
That's what I was thinking.
Oh, yeah.
That's what it was. Probably
Yeah,
a hair guy.
probably.
Yeah. A hair salon.
So Troy was awesome. There was at one point where I got my journal with me and I'm trying to get everybody's signature and I'm just waiting and Bry's having a conversation with somebody and Troy comes up behind me and asks what I'm doing. And I should have just fucking lied to him, honestly, but for some reason the truth serum was coming out, or I guess Long Island's. But I told him, I was just like, Brian's over there talking and I don't want to interrupt him. And so he didn't even say anything to me. He just walks away from me to Brian. And it's just like, hey, did you come over here and sign John's book yet? And then Brian has this out of left field look on his face of what was I supposed to do something and I missed it? And so then they both just turn and look at me, who I haven't moved. I'm 20 feet away, just standing there with a book and pen, just mouth agape.
Yeah.
Until I have to walk over and be and a forced, awkward interaction. Be I'm so sorry. And it's also not even the first time I ran into it. It was just the first. I just didn't have my book the first time, so I'm I'm an asshole. So I'm gonna act like this is my first time again because I'm asking for the signature and everything, and I just could. The way Troy set it up, I was trying to not psych myself out, and then he created that hurricane of nervousness.
That's
the spotlight of being Hey, you nervous, kid?
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, don't be.
Exactly.
Wow, you're sweating a lot.
My first cruise, I couldn't even talk to Brian. I walked up to him. It was just like, I was like, you're here, like you're physically here, and I'm like,
He is the lore.
he's in the law. He's in the law. I know how you feel. It's like overwhelming sometimes. The first time I went up, I couldn't even talk.
Just that straight. Mr.
Just sitting there going,
Mr.
can you
Krabs.
can you sign my flag? This flag that I've been carrying around forever.
First time I met Bri, he wanted a picture with me because it was right after the lip sync battle. So I was still in the costume, sweat my balls off in the costume.
That was your first interaction?
That was my first interaction with him.
That was a little bit into the cruise.
Yeah, it was because I'm like, I just hadn't seen him anywhere. I was so like infatuated with hanging out with ants that I didn't even think to look. But like, I had just finished it. I walked off stage. We were like trying to get on the elevator. It was swamped. And just standing there, and like I just happened to look up, and the doors are closing, and I see Mary Beth, Troy, Bri, and Bri's like, and it just closes.
Like, it cost me my left arm, but I got his autograph.
Right. And then, like after a while, Harley and I were just standing there for a second. We're like, "Fuck the elevator, let's just walk a couple stairs," you know. And so we got to our floor. We were like going down the stairs, and there's Bri, like in Mary Beth, and he was just like, "Oh fuck, can I take a photo with you?" And I'm like, yes.
Oh,
like,
yeah. If you were
yes. And then he's just like, "You're Justin Kyle, right?" And that, I think I just shit my pants right in that.
What a jack. I'd be like, if he said that to me, I'd be like, shut the fuck up. Get away from me. Don't ask me my name is this.
It was so odd.
It's supposed to be the other way.
Yeah, it was so weird because that was not the interaction that I thought. And then he just kind of like walked to his room, and then I didn't really. I saw him a couple other times and just said hey, but I'm like, I'm so self-conscious. I'm like, I'm annoying this person. Like I should just go somewhere else. Like
same. Because after that whole Troy debacle with the notebook. Yeah. Then I came up, he came up after, it was during one of the shows.
It was during, I remember this. It was during Taste Buds.
Yeah.
And you were so drunk.
It was a clear sign that if I was going to be present for the rest of the night, I needed to put the brakes on. Was not in any way, shape, or form thinking that he was going to be in the area. So all my walls are down. And he just, like...
This is so good.
They kept showing up. He just pops up right behind us. So over my shoulder is, like, literally one of my heroes for the last 10 years.
And what did you got up and you walked up to him. What did you say?
I was like, psyching myself out so much. And I was just like, you know what? You need to just... It's the wannabe thing. You just got to stare death in the face. You know what I mean? You got to nut up or shut up. And so I walk up, and the thing that threw me off the most, I walk up, I look him in the eye, and the look that Mary Beth gives me is as if like...
she was watching a car wreck.
Yeah. Who shot John Lennon? However, Yoko was looking at that person, as I imagine. She was shocked. Yeah, I walked up very quick pace, and I was just like, you know what? I decided I don't give a fuck.
And then he just sat there, just staring at Bri. Like...
With no context.
And Bri was just like, okay.
Yeah. I was just like, yeah, you're Brian Johnson. It's not a big deal. I can talk to you, and it's not, you're just a person.
Chuck, I imagine that you meet fans sometimes. Like, what do you do in that situation? Somebody just comes up to you, you know what?
People get nervous. I mean, you know who was really nervous about meeting me the first time was Jimmy.
Really?
Yeah, I was filming with Kevin. What the fuck were we filming? I don't remember what it was, but it was at the original Smodcastle. The Black Box.
Yeah.
And Jimmy came up to me. He's like, "Ah, man, I'm sorry to bother you, sir. Oh my god, will you take a picture with me?" I mean, I don't know. Everyone's cool, and the thing is, the Tell 'em Steve Dave guys, I don't know. It's just different to me. It's all those guys are just so much more like we have this little community. It's just so different. I mean, I understand it from the listener perspective of being like, oh my God, you know, whatever. But all the guys I think are so just like, oh yeah, you want to take a picture? Cool. And they don't care at all. They don't think about it as a big deal. They don't think about it as like, I'm sure that if you got into Walt or Bri or Quinn's head or Ming or whoever, and it was like, oh, like, should people be nervous at all? He's like, no, just come up to me and ask me. It's not a big deal. And so I think that because of that sort of aura, around the Tell 'em Steve Dave people. It's like how everyone is, where it's like, oh, we're all just part of a big community, and that's cool. It's cool that people want to record these moments. So I think everyone's just happy and cool about it,
What would you do though if somebody came up and just stared you right in the balls, right in the eyeballs, and said,
right in the balls.
I don't give a fuck.
Is it, if it's Jimmy, it is right in the balls because he's as tall as a gremlin.
No, but like, what would you say if John had did that to you? I don't give a fuck, and just stared at you.
You didn't say that to him, did you?
He
You actually
did.
say the words.
Yeah,
He said the words.
and I said I don't give a. And then Mary Beth was immediately like, okay.
Yeah, she
like, really like.
She
I
was
being
shocked.
Hostile. Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
I didn't
And
realize
like,
you
maybe
said.
this wasn't.
I guess I thought it was more of a metaphor.
No, that's what he
No,
said.
I said that verbatim.
He said,
He was
you know
very
what?
thrown.
I don't give a fuck. And then I was standing next to you, and it was just so awkward because he just stood there and like kind of swaying back and forth.
There was it's funny actually. So last year, I forget what it was, but Murray was in town in Rhode Island, and Jiggy was there, and me and Jiggy met up, and he's like, "Oh, we're doing the Comedy Connection tonight, which is my home club in East Providence, Rhode Island, and that's where we do like live, fun, bearable stuff."
Yeah.
And he was like, "Oh, come out to the show." So he put me on the list. I came out to the show, and this guy who was crazy drunk after the show. Obviously didn't think know I was going to be there or whatever. And he's leaving the show and he goes, because it was me and Brad, and he goes, "You're Chuck and Brad. You're Chuck and Brad. Are you Chuck and Brad?" And I'm like, "Yeah, we're Chuck and Brad." And he's like, and he fucking lost it, but it was very endearing. It was very endearing and very sweet that he cared that much. You know what I mean? So I think that even though you had a fairly aggressive tone with you're Brian Johnson and I don't give a fuck, which by the way puts off a different vibe than you think.
No, I realize now that it was not. It was very poorly executed. It made so much sense in my head. I was just like, he's gonna respect this. He's gonna love it.
I remember that. He's like, I know what I'm going to say. He's going to respect me after this.
If you went up to him and you said, "You know what? I've been really nervous about talking to this whole cruise, but I decided I don't give a fuck. Like, I love this guy. I'm going to go talk to him." He would respect that.
Yeah.
However, the way you expressed yourself was not quite as clear. And so perhaps maybe some at least yellow flags were going up. I understand that.
I would like to believe that 4 less Long Islands, that's what would have come out of my mouth. But
I believe they were Staten Island iced teas on the
oh,
cruise.
thank you. They were Staten Island iced teas.
It was amazing. It was probably one of my favorite parts of the whole cruise, to be honest with you.
Who else was awesome? You're here, so I can't shout out to you.
Yeah, don't.
I was really sad. I really hoped Frank 5 was going to be there. I would love to meet Frank 5.
I wish he was there, man.
Awesome.
I think he couldn't come because of the time of year that it was. He had just had a week off of school or something like that.
That's what I'd heard.
I talked to him, yeah.
Victor was supposed to be there.
Was he?
I thought it was Alex.
Alex was supposed to be there.
Sorry, yeah.
Can I tell you a funny story about that?
Yes, please.
Oh, this is hilarious. So my friend Lindsay was going on the cruise, and she was rooming with our buddy Alex Juarez and his girlfriend.
Yeah, I met her. She was awesome.
Yes, and Alex is hilarious. I hung out with him last night all night. It was great. He's one of my favorite people in the whole world. And what happened was they were like, "Oh, we can't afford it." So they sold their room to 2 separate strangers that didn't know each other. So then Lindsay was suddenly sleeping in a room with 2 strangers who don't even know each other. So it's 3 fucking strangers.
I ended up meeting one of those strangers.
Yes. So what happened was I didn't think I was going on the cruise. And then me and Quinn went out to lunch in like late December. And he was like, "Oh, you want to come on the cruise?" And I'm like, "Yeah, that'd be awesome." And so he gave me this awesome room with a balcony and all this stuff. And Lindsay's like, "Motherfucker, like, let me stay in your room." And I'm like, "No." I'm like, "Get the hell out of here. I want my own room. I don't want to deal with this." And plus, like, we used to date. She has a boyfriend. I was like, "No, you're not going to stay in my room." So me and Lindsay go to the dock. This is I shouldn't tell this story in case this person. I have to back off the story now. I don't want to hurt anyone's feeling. No, I can't. But it was hilarious. Some of the circumstances of her sharing the room were fucking hilarious. And every night she would try to pressure me into being like, "Come on, I won't even make any sound. I'll just sleep on the couch. I won't make any sound." And I'm like, and I would, you know what I would always do? I'd always say, like, "Let me think about it." And I would slowly, eventually excuse myself from the situation without saying bye to anybody. And I could kind of just play with the idea of like, "Oh, I forgot. Oh, I wasn't thinking about it." And I did that every night in a row, and I never had to have her stay in my room.
hilarious.
Yeah, it was hilarious. It was great.
Wow.
Yeah, it was great.
I would have been very comfortable on deck. I'm sure she could have grabbed those lawn chairs.
Yeah, I think she was fine. Who cares?
At one point, they started kicking people off the lawn chairs on the deck, though.
Did they?
At night?
No, in the middle of the day.
Really?
Yeah, for some reason they were just like, there's a couple of people. I think it was during the belly flop contest when
maybe.
we haven't even gotten to that, but our friend Nick here fucking competed in the belly flop contest.
You haven't talked enough on this pod.
Yeah, I know.
For the guy who's been on every single cruise, you're.
I'm letting you go. I'm letting you guys go. It's such good content, man.
But we were watching you, and for some reason, like people were like just lounging. You could obviously tell they were just like not interested in the Impractical Joker stuff. They were just like there because their like husbands were like,
those people I found very fascinating.
yeah, like
What did that guy scream when he jumped in for the belly flop? Pot of the loooahh? What was that?
Part of the lure. It's part of the lure. I've never won one. I've done every single one of them. I've never won one.
You sound like you're warning someone to stay out of the pet cemetery. You don't want to become part of the lure.
You don't want to go down that way. That's funny.
That is better. Anyway, sorry.
Yeah, that's awesome.
so you competed in every single belly flop.
Every single belly flop contest since the inception of it, pretty much.
Wow,
And usually when there's a kid, that's it. It's over. There's a kid involved in the situation, they usually win.
Yeah.
Whenever I got to up my game, I think too. The Speedos always go over real well. People with Speedos usually win. And then there was that one year that she almost won, but she was the she dressed up as Randy Savage, Macho Man, Randy Savage. So through the whole cruise, she's dressed as Randy Savage. She did it in that getup. She did it in the thing. She made it to the last round, but there was another guy in a Speedo. So Speedo beats out Macho Man Randy Savage. So.
I don't agree with that.
I want to consult our math guy on that. Does that add up?
Speedo beats Macho.
All right.
Damn.
Yeah. Kid beats Speedo. Speedo beats Macho.
Yeah.
So
it's like rock, paper, scissors. It's our own version of it.
Yeah.
I'm gonna be talking to the council about this.
You'd have to talk to Sal because he's the one that judges usually. It used to be Joe, but now it's Sal. Yeah. And I don't think they're gonna do a cruise this year. And I get it because they're like. Their reasoning behind it was like, this is expensive, right? So like if we don't do it every other year, people can actually do.
Yeah, I think there's gonna be another one.
Yeah,
but not soon.
Yeah.
I sure hope so too, because not only do more people need the opportunity to experience that, like the fact that was my first, but there's so many people on that damn cruise that were like, every year we're going again. It's like, I mean. Not that I couldn't understand going over and over again, but it's just like it's
the access they give you, the access they give you to the guys to if you're a fan of Tell 'em Steve Dave, the access that they give you to all of them it's just worth it right there. And then they just throw in all this other stuff. Like I think 2019 we built a turtle with Murr on a sandcastle turtle, like this whole thing. We did this whole thing with Murr on the thing. And
is there a monkey on the turtle?
No monkey on the turtle. We couldn't add it.
Rats.
That's a great reference.
But they do little things like that, and it's crazy. Like the first cruise, you could always find Q in the playing poker, but you could walk right up to him, right? And he didn't care. He was like, "Hey, can you sign this?" He'd be like, "Boom!" He'd stop what he was doing.
Yeah,
and
for sure.
Just do it, and it's like crazy. People don't realize that how much access that they give you.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, it's really cool.
I think it's one of the like
wrong many times. Like I kept bumping into Joe DeRosa, and I was like, he hates me. He has to fight.
Oh, I think I annoyed the shit out of him.
It's so funny because I think that the Jokers the Jokers have done that so many times that they're kind of like, they gear up and they go, okay, this is going to be a lot of interaction.
Yeah.
That's what people are here for, and that's what we're providing. But I think a lot of people around that are, like, let's say, I don't know, DeRosa, I didn't talk to him specifically about this, but DeRosa, Eric Andre, Steve-O, I don't know if they were super ready for that level of I mean, I think they could just retreat to their rooms, and like the suites and stuff that they were staying in were like incredible. So, you know, that's fun too.
Yeah.
But I think that they were like, there was probably a lot of people that weren't really ready for it. Also, there was a section for the boat that was private.
Yeah.
There was a section in the front of the boat. But I do think it probably is a lot to be like, yeah, I'm going to be around fans 24/7 for like 4 days straight. Not 24/7, 24/4, I guess.
Yeah.
And it's a lot. But I think that, like I said, I think the jokers are used to it, and they're kind of like, yeah, that's what this is for. But I don't know if everybody else.
That's a great
follows.
point.
You know what I mean? It's really like that.
That
Yeah.
being said, I didn't really interact with anybody or hear stories about
Yeah.
anybody that didn't have just an incredibly positive approach.
It was
Oh,
so
for
fun.
sure,
I mean,
for
even that Joe DeRosa, I think it's funny, like looking back on it.
Yeah.
It's just the sheer amount of times
Yeah.
that I kept accidentally seeing them, and I'm just like,
Well, you gotta hope that the price. You gotta hope that the price point keeps out the lunatics,
Right.
because there are some negative fan experiences and stuff like that. But hopefully, they're not going to pay to be there. You know what I mean?
but it also brings in a certain type of lunatic as well.
It does. It does. Especially, you know, with the drinking and stuff like that. That's what gets tough, is like how drunk people get at the end of the night. You know, because I think that there's a lot of people who are awesome during the day, and then if they're super drunk, they might be like a little much. You know what I mean?
Sure. Real quick, I just want to get this out of the way because it is cruise related, and I just want to get it out of the way so I can stop staring at it. But just I have a list of the ants that I interacted with that I want to shout out. We already talked about some of these, but the first one I saw was Tracy from the UK.
Yeah,
She-
Tracy's great.
She's your like
She's awesome.
hardcore. She was multiple. Yeah, so you remember Tracy?
Yeah.
She drew a dick on my vest.
Yeah.
It's right on my shoulder.
see it.
I did too.
Unprompted or
No, I-
what?
Well, yeah, we were at the ant moot, and then like I just feel somebody like fucking with my vest, and I look down. She's like, "I just drew a dick on you." So that coat that she wore,
Yeah.
drew an even bigger dick on her coat.
Yeah, and it goes back and forth.
Yeah.
By the end, your clothes are covered in dicks.
We're just like, okay, enough. We're even now. Enough.
I first met Tracy in 2020 on the 2020 cruise.
Yep.
And we were the first night, I think, the Space Monkey thing. I had an extra seat in the front row because I'm always like, I'm that dude that's like camped out there 6 hours before, and
Yeah.
because I want to. This
That's
is
what you
why
paid
I'm
for,
here. This
right.
is what I came for. So I had an extra seat, and Tracy sat next to me at the first. I think it was the first one, and then the second one. We kind of like just came together. Good person.
She was just stacked with everything. She knew the law.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She had a hefty notebook with all kinds of notes and games written down.
Yeah. She had all of the dyslexia clues written down in a notebook,
Dude,
and she was playing dyslexia with people while they waited.
Yeah.
Dude, it was like like
That is crazy.
every single dyslexia clue in one note. Like she just pages of it.
Wow.
Yeah.
I wonder if, see, I don't know if you can answer this question for me at all, but is there any mention in the midst when you guys are talking to each other, to just kind of, what am I trying to say?
No.
Do you talk about
Behind closed doors.
Do you talk about him behind closed doors? Is
Yeah,
what he's
like,
asking.
What's my name? Like, does it ever come up?
Because John, why? Because you don't give a fuck.
Yeah,
Right.
well, not that I would care. But, no, has it ever talked about that, so there's a store, and people want to go to the store, and they want to go see everybody, but then there's this whole, like, side, not to call it a sideshow, but there's a side experience that the ants create for themselves.
Yeah.
So, like, there was
Like this moot tomorrow.
Yeah. The moots and everything. There's so much interaction and content that does not even come from their fingertips, but like the community.
Yeah.
And it's intense.
Yeah.
And it can be easy to see online, but like once you're in person with people,
Oh yeah.
it's not like any other fandom. Like people like stuff, but we fucking love this shit, you know?
Oh yeah, they talk about it a lot. I mean, I think that at different levels, different people that are involved are like, "Oh, that's cool, whatever," and they're kind of like distant. And then some people are excited to be part of it. But I think this is just me, not speaking for everybody. I think from the perspective of the guys, I believe that they really appreciate the fact that it has created relationships that transcend just the podcast. It's not just like, oh, we like this and that's what we're talking about. It's like people actually meet and become friends and have experiences together and stuff like that. I think I got to imagine it's an unexpected side effect of this podcast that they are really happy exists. I mean, I once in a while will have like little parties at the studio, and I'm the one that organizes them. And it started because we talked about, I think it was me and Alex and maybe Tom Milashevsky, actually, is how you say his name.
Is it? I always thought it was Milzowski.
It was Milashevsky. I know, it's crazy, right? It's so weird.
How is there so much discretion on this one?
It's crazy. But I was the one that was like, oh, let's do like wrestling pay-per-views there and watch like WrestleMania at the studio and have like a party, because we have the big TV and we have the big table and everything. And when I've asked, I kind of had to approach Walt and be like, hey, would you mind if we had like a party, just for the people that are involved, obviously, and like girlfriends and wives and whatever, would you mind if we had like a big thing at the studio? And I didn't know if he would be cool with it or if they would think it's like weird and it's like, oh, it's not the space for that. But I've gotten the distinct impression, and this is just what I've gleaned, that Walt is like really happy that there's a whole community, even of the people that work there. Because obviously it's not like Walt, Bri, Q go to these parties. It's like me, Jimmy, Tom, Gedem, Alex, Rupert, like it's all these different people that are involved in the production end. And obviously, and Ming comes sometimes, and like, everyone's invited, like Sunday and Tim and everything, and Nichelle. But I think that I've gotten this distinct impression that Walt is really happy with the fact that we've all become friends and it's this little community. I mean, it's kind of an ongoing joke that Walt likes to groom young boys. Like on episode 600, there's the joke about Gedem and Tom and Jimmy and how he wants to.
Johnny.
But I do think
he was going for Johnny Law.
Yeah, but he's not a young boy. But I feel like there is kind of like
young enough.
They've got to be really happy that people have kind of created real relationships from this show that started with that wouldn't exist without that. You have to imagine that they're really, really happy to hear that, Because not a lot of fandoms are like that.
Yeah.
A lot of them are much colder, much more distant. And this feels like there's a much more of a community, which I think is one of the things that really surprised me about the cruise. I didn't know it would be like that, really. I didn't really know what to expect, to be honest. I kind of didn't think about it that much. And I just showed up and I was like, oh, we're going to have a good week, whatever. And I didn't realize how much camaraderie there would be. And it was really amazing,
Yeah, and just in that, like, I went years and years and years of it just being a podcast.
Yeah.
Not even talking to really other ants online, not even and knowing that community existed.
Yeah.
But still not
knowing how to partake in it.
Yeah. Not feeling like I even have a word to put out there.
Well, for me, it was like I started working with them in 2016, and I didn't really take part in the community either. And then for Vulgarthon 2018 is where I met a lot of people where my relationship started with them then and has grown. Actually, Natalie here went on the cruise completely alone with not knowing anybody. And which is, I think, crazy.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Natalie.
And she's never been on social media. She's not on social media. So she doesn't even know about the Reddit groups or the Facebook groups, anything like that.
So it's all through like the wormhole of what you've told her?
No, we met on the cruise.
Oh, okay.
We didn't know each other. We met on the cruise. Yeah.
So I actually wanted to get that whole story from your perspective. And you,
oh, God.
You can speak, by the way, in case he didn't tell you. But like, what was your experience with the cruise? Like, you went alone? Like, what was the decision making on that end? Like,
a lot of what you guys were saying earlier, it was one of those things where I'm like, I have to go, but it was really more for Tell 'em Steve Dave than IJ. And I just made the decision. I booked it kind of like what you said. I'm like, I'll figure out the rest later. I'll pay whatever. And it was probably the best week of my life. And just getting to meet all the other ants, it was incredible. And that's when I finally was like, maybe I should get social media. Because I really, really would love to keep in contact with these people that understand and know this amazing podcast. Because, outside of that, it's hard to explain how amazing that podcast is. I finally got Facebook and Instagram, but me and him met probably the second day.
Yeah, at the Ant-Moot.
Yeah.
And I felt bad because what happened was we were all going there and like I had brought a bunch of Fun Bearable stickers because I knew I'd run into a bunch of Fun Bearable listeners. And I was like, I just want to have something to give them to just have. And at the Ant-Moot, there was a ton of people there that knew about my podcast, and I was giving them stickers. And Natalie came up from behind me, and she's like, "Oh, can I have one?" And I didn't know her. I never met her before. And I'm like, "We're at a Tell 'em Steve Dave Ant-Moot," so she probably thinks this is a Tell 'em Steve Dave thing I'm about to hand her, and I'm just handing her a thing for my own podcast, which makes me feel like I'm being like an egotistical piece of shit. It's like, oh, you must want a sticker from my podcast, even though we're at a Tell 'em Steve Dave thing.
No, I totally get that.
So I said, I'm like, oh, actually, this isn't a Tell 'em Steve Dave thing. But apparently she also did know about Fun Bearable, and she knew that, and so she thought I was kind of being like, fuck you, get out of here.
Yeah.
And she was like, okay, and she just walked away. And I was like, who is that very attractive girl that no one has ever met? Because that was one of the things that was funny on the cruise, is that most of us know each other. Mm-hmm. And then the idea of a woman coming in who's attractive that no one has met, everyone was kind of like, what the fuck is going on? Everyone was very like, who is this? Everybody that all the guys and everything like that. It was very weird to see this new person because we pretty much knew each other. And so I kind of had to go up to her a couple of minutes later because I'm like, oh, that girl is so pretty. I really made myself look like an idiot. And so I went up to her in line and I was like, hey, sorry, I just wanted to explain, like, I'm passing out picture stickers from my podcast. I didn't want you to think it was a Tell 'em Steve Dave thing. And she was like, okay, I know. And so I introduced myself, and I did want to ask, though, did you know anybody that was going to be there? Like, did you have anyone, like, I'll hang out with this person?
No.
No one?
No one.
Isn't that crazy?
That is
I met
crazy.
Justin, and I thought he was really nice and cool. So anytime I would see him, I'm like, hi, I know you.
Yeah.
It's crazy. It's
No, I
it's
didn't know
crazy to
anyone.
even try to think through the lens of, like, I don't have social media,
Well-
so I never talk to anybody that likes it.
I did the Facebook page
that's
before
right.
the cruise. I was like, well, maybe it's a good way to kind of get to know people before.
Yeah.
Is that the that ship face group? Yeah. Okay.
I was like, maybe I should do that just so I kind of know people. And so then I did the meetup the night before the cruise at one of those local bars.
At the Eric Andre thing.
Yeah.
But which you didn't show up to.
Which you didn't show up to.
Right.
I went to Justin's party, which was, 7 hours away from Miami?
Yeah. No.
Yeah.
7 hours.
He was like, we're actually meeting in Omaha.
Yeah,
And I was
really.
like, all right.
I'll see you in Bermuda.
Well, that Facebook page is how I made friends with the guy that I did the beer pong tournament with, too. So me and him signed up. Because I'm
cool.
like, I don't know anyone. You want to be my partner? And we were out in the first round. But
Yeah, exactly.
yeah, so it was a great week, and I had a lot of fun. But it was crazy getting to meet him. I didn't even believe that you were going to be on it. I was like, Chuck's not going to be here.
Were you starstruck when you saw him?
Yes.
No, she wasn't. No.
That's why,
He was not.
but that's why I was so disappointed when you were like, "Oh, you don't know this," and I'm like, "Yes, I do.
That's not
I do know Fun Barrel."
I'm a fun bear.
And I was like, "Wow, he's a jerk," so I kind of walked away.
She was not.
I was like, "I'm gonna go back and talk to Jimmy. He's nice."
It was really funny because when I met her, I was like, man, that girl's really cute and stuff. And I was like walking around like all week. I was thinking about her, and I was I remember I was filming Space Monkeys on night 2 of Space Monkeys, which was actually night 3 of the cruise, I believe. And I had my camera, and I was like, I wonder if that girl is here. And I used my camera, and I zoomed into the crowd to find her in the crowd to see if I could find her.
Whoa,
And I was
some
like,
Peter Parker.
well,
shit.
I was like, does that make sense? He's filming himself usually.
No, he goes and spies on MJ with his camera sometimes.
What issue is that?
Yeah, right, exactly.
No, like are you talking about in the Raimi movie? He does that.
Oh, that's funny.
Wow, I
Oh
guess
yeah,
I
he
didn't-
does. You're right.
Yeah.
You're right. He does do
Chuck,
that.
That's my
Chuck goes
rating.
back
Yeah.
and looks at the footage, and it's just Nat. Just the whole time, it's just her. It's just sitting there.
I wasn't filming. I was just seeing if she was there. And at the end of that night, which was night 2, I was like, I went up to her afterwards, and I'm like, oh hey, do you have the texting app? Because I wanted to see if I could text her, right? And she goes, nope. And I go, well, do you have an iPhone? Because for some reason, iPhones could text each other on the cruise. I don't know why. And I was like, do you have an iPhone? She's like, nope, see ya. And she just walked away. And I was like, God damn it. So annoying. And the truth is, and I'm not going to tell this whole
She
story.
knew you were like stalking her the whole
No, I wasn't. I won't tell the whole story. I can't tell it someday. I hope I can tell it on the podcast. But I had dated some other people that were on the cruise, and it was like a little tense. And I made an agreement with one of my exes that was nervous that it would be uncomfortable. And I kind of made a thing. She was like, oh, you're going to be banging girls on the cruise the whole time. And I was like,
What am I, Jimmy the Hair Guy?
oh my God, any one of them would have begged me to do it.
Pray for Michelle.
Oh my God, yeah. I was like, no, I won't. And I made her a promise. I was like, I'm not gonna meet any girls on the cruise just to make sure that you're comfortable. And I was sticking to that, but I was like, what about this girl? And Natalie was so cute. And I was like, well, I'm at least going to talk to her. That's okay. And then the third night, the ex like lost her mind on me and said a bunch of like, I don't even know if you can apologize for the things that she said, the threats that she made, and all that kind of. It was at my room, like 3 a.m.
International waters, so.
Right? Exactly. So that third night, I was like, this agreement is off, and I was like, I'm finding Natalie right away, and so I was able to find her on day 4, and I started laying the groundwork, which she could. I don't know. Could you tell right away?
Yes.
I went up to her and I was like,
he's going cabin to cabin.
He's like foaming at the mouth.
Have you seen this girl? I recorded her last night.
It's just this blurry photo of her.
yeah, you can barely make her out.
Had I known any of that story, I would have insisted she'd have been on the mic since she walked in.
Oh yeah.
I'm
trying to
have
think.
this thing with my wife where I'm like, she's just my wife. She doesn't care. And I love Tell 'em Steve Dave, so I just immediately assumed
so
that with her,
you assumed that she was just here because she's with me.
I feel terrible. I'm so sorry. You're a full-blown aunt, and
she is.
recognizing you as such.
Yeah,
I'm the main reason I went on that.
Why did we pick you as a host?
Yeah, I mean, we should have just had you guys.
I know.
Oh no, she went on by herself, which to me is crazy.
I'm so obsessed with Tell 'em Steve Dave. I was like, I don't care. I'm not waiting on anyone. I'm gonna plan this and go myself. And it was incredible.
I'm trying to think. So
friends and lovers.
Yeah, right. So we that first the Ant movie had that awkward thing. Then the second night I asked if I could text you, and you were like, "Fuck you," and you walked away. And I'm trying to think that I think we talked on the third day as well, real quick.
A little bit.
And and it was kind of like, I'm like, well, what's gonna happen? And then that fourth day, after my ex like flipped out, and I was like, all bets are off. I went up to her like right away. This was at like probably 1 PM or 2.
Yeah, I had the Tell 'em Steve Dave dress that I made.
Yeah, she made the Tell 'em Steve Dave dress out of the banner.
Right.
Okay, yes, I remember.
The Sergeant Pepper.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yes.
And I was trying to find all of you guys.
Yep.
And I wanted a picture because I'm like, I made this dress and I realized your face was cut off the dress because of the way it's styled. And so when I found you, I'm like, oh shoot. Sorry, but the way I had to sew it, you're just not on it. But I found you, Ming, and Jimmy on the deck, and
she's like, we got to get you in this dress somehow.
yeah. So I said, I was like, what are you doing? She's like, I'm gonna go see this podcast. And I'm like, you mind if I come? And she was like, sure. And so we started hanging out during that day, and just like, and I had to leave at some point to get ready to film Space Monkeys, and then we filmed that final Space Monkeys, and it was like. I mean, that one was late. I think we probably got back out onto the deck for karaoke at like 12:30.
Yeah, it was late.
It was pretty late. And I was like, oh, this is my only chance because I had asked her early on, where do you live? And she said Colorado. And I live here on the East Coast. So I was like, man, like this is a do or die moment.
I was also out there on that.
Oh yeah, I think everyone was that last night. I mean, where else? You know what I mean? I think everyone was.
Different night. Yeah. Okay. So I was out both nights.
Yeah. Oh yeah. That final. Yeah. Sure. You were. Yeah. But yeah, it was funny. We were talking, and she's like very sweet and unassuming, but I just couldn't even tell if she knew I was interested at all. And at one point, I had to reach over and go like, "Hey, is it clear that I'm hitting on you? Like, what's happening right now?"
Can you check yes or no, please?
Yeah, it was basically
one of these
yes,
boxes.
no,
Do you
maybe.
like me?
It was really funny too because she was hanging out with this girl named Megan, who's super nice. And I kept trying to get Natalie alone to talk to her. And Megan is just like, hey guys, what are we doing next? And I'm like, shut the fuck up.
Trying to get laid.
And it was very sweet. She's very nice. Megan's very nice. It was very sweet. But it was
Look, Sal.
Come on. And I pulled Natalie away. That's really funny. But yeah, it was really funny. And yeah, we met on the cruise. We never talked before. Didn't know about each other before, and then
I knew you.
Yeah, you knew me a little bit, and then that was it. It was crazy.
I thought you might have been talking about that first night, and actually, no, it wasn't even after Space Monkeys. It was just the very first night after that opening like comedy show that they did. My wife and our friend that we went with both feeling sick and also exhausted from traveling, so they had to call it early. But I'm like, I paid so much for this. I'm gonna live every single second of this boat at sea. So after the show, I was like, let's go see what's kicking out there. And it was maybe 20-ish people and the band. But what my favorite line of this pod so far, in the middle of them all, is Ming Chen dancing, and I was just kind of standing there cross-armed, getting enough entertainment off of that alone. I'm like, I'm fucking literally, I'm watching Ming Chen dance and party in front of me. Like, this is so weird that
He's pinching himself.
I'll tell you, I want to hear a funny thing about Ming. So that night, he was fucking hammered, night 4, which was the final night, and he knew I was interested in Natalie. And like I said, everyone was kind of like, who is this girl? The idea of an attractive girl being part of the fan base is already weird. The fact that no one knew her was extra weird. So everyone was kind of eyeing her the whole time. And night 4, me and her were going to go for a walk. I had said, do you want to go for a walk? And she said, yes. And so me and her were walking away from the dance floor. And Ming was there and he saw me walking with her. And Ming, in his very drunken stupor, was like, oh, I'm going to wingman this guy and help him out. Except he went so fucking overboard. He puts his arm around and he goes, oh, this guy is the best guy. This guy is the best guy I ever met in my whole life. He goes, I'd be nothing without this guy. And I'm like, shut the fuck up. I was like, it's so clear what you're doing, and it's so obviously a lie.
everything in my life's a sham. Chuck did it all.
I was like, what do you mean?
Kevin Smith, who?
Chuck made the website. It wasn't me. It wasn't me.
And what did you think when
30
you said
years.
that? What did you think?
Oh, that changed the game for me. I was like, well, if Ming says so.
Wow. So it did work. It did work.
Yep. We owe a lot to Ming.
Yeah.
They will love that.
It was so funny.
Being approved.
It was so fucking funny, and I was like, "Oh my!" It was, and for me, I mean, I didn't know it was going to happen. So at the time, I was like, I really was like, "Shut up!" Like I didn't know, it was hilarious.
Watching him dance was surreal enough, but then he wasn't the first person to pull me in, but another cat ant. These are animals and insects. There's too many.
Yeah.
She's an ant named Kat from UK. She was great. She's
wicked nice. She came over to me and she goes, "I'm a fan of your band senior discount," which I thought was crazy.
Yeah,
I was like, how did she? Yeah, it was crazy. Yeah, Katya.
Yeah,
That's right.
Yeah. I'm just going with the low hanging fruit names.
Yeah.
Well, Tracy, for the first 2 days, I just kept calling her UK Aunt. And then there was I still haven't learned her name. I just keep calling her Aussie Aunt. Cause she's
I know what you're talking about.
And there was another Tracy that's an aunt from Canada.
Oh, shit.
Toronto.
So UK Aunt probably wasn't the worst idea. Yeah, no, but she pulls me over, and I'm not like a dance person, but she's wearing the vest covered in Tell 'em Steve Dave stuff. So I'm like, all right, this person is obviously worth my time.
Yeah.
And,
precious time.
Yeah. And so I get, more and more comfortable with the idea of moving into this group of people and just letting loose. I'm an awkward guy. I'm not gonna shy around it. And so and then I look around and I'm like, oh, these are all ants. Mm-hmm. This is a whole group of people as ants. So no wonder that we're out here dancing with Ming.
Yeah.
And then Ming sees me, and he does that goofy throw a fishing line out and reel you in dance move.
Yeah.
With zero shame. A couple Staten Islands, and it's zero shame. With my waist first, he reeled me in, and I went all the way to him and danced with him.
Oh, that's great.
And afterwards, I just can't. I'm like, I really just did that with Ming Chen, one of the comic book men.
Yeah, Ming is the best in terms of being like, let's make this feel fun and friendly and welcoming and warm. And I think that there's a lot of that in the Tell 'em Steve Dave community, and he's definitely maybe the ambassador for that kind of vibe.
It's the true vibe of somebody enjoyed something a lot and then has surpassed that level, but still looks back at the people who are constantly enjoying it with that same empathetic,
for sure.
I also love these things. Isn't this great? Yeah. Instead of that used to it status.
I feel like this is like John Bizarro. This is not the John from last night.
It's not the John from last night.
No, I thought he was going to come in with fire.
Yeah, I thought he was blazing, guns blazing.
He's all fucking butthole kissing on this main guy.
Shared universe, and
he decided to go to a different room.
Yeah, guy.
It was
I
the
knew
whiskey.
it too. He was just like, you should have seen it. He's like, fuck me. And we were watching episode 600. He's just like, fuck me. Yeah, he was like all into it.
I'm not gonna deny.
Now it's just like, I love me. He's the embodiment of everything. It's like,
I truly owe Ming everything. I said it a couple times on the cruise, especially after I had so much fun with these two. I'm like, I literally would not have my friendship with them if it wasn't for him.
Yeah.
If you want to blame that on the website, or if you want to say he called me over to come sit with Justin at the table, which I'm awkward and kind of same. I had friends with me, but it's the same boat as you. literally and just being invited over to sit at the table, I was just like, that's just the little bit I needed to push me over the edge.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Just being a real maniac.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
No, I hear you.
Somebody else talk.
Why, John? Why?
Somebody else talk.
Somebody else talk.
Somebody else talk.
I've been talking. I'm done already.
Wow.
Gula, actually, I want to put you on the spotlight a little bit because you are one of the most impressive ants that I met besides Justin.
This guy will be president of the United States someday.
Yeah.
I have no doubt.
I'm part of the law.
He's part of it.
I'm part of it.
The United States law.
Yeah.
I have no doubt about it. This guy would be president someday.
Oh, thank you.
Do you care? Can I start? Do you want to start spouting your accolades, or do you just want to brush over?
I want to
He's
hear him.
so
What are the
humble.
accolades?
He's
Tell
so
me.
humble.
Tell me.
Yeah. He's
Well, we heard about the kidney. That's nothing.
The kidneys are my claim to fame and that thing. But I do a lot of activism in my local towns. I'm union president of my local. I am vice president of my statewide union. I'm always in the legislature. I'm always going down to Congress to talk about things. Some of my passionate things are debt-free free college. Another one is trying to get our health system on track. I believe that the single payer is the way to go. A lot of people will say that that's not the way to go, but that's the only way to go at this point. But that's one of my causes. And the one cause that I'm picking up this time, and I think it's going to get a lot of traction within Massachusetts at least, is anti-privatization, not only in the state system, but for everybody. Because they use these laws to have loopholes, and it really screws people that have built these companies to where they are. And if they weren't, these workers weren't there, they wouldn't have a company. Amazon wouldn't be Amazon if it wasn't simple. And they just use the laws to enrich themselves, and then they just say the people that got them there, go away. And I think that's wrong. So I'm doing that, but I'm always in Congress and stuff like that. I think within the next 5 years, I'll be a sitting senator, United States senator at least.
Wow.
Isn't that fucking crazy?
That is crazy.
And
Damn.
you're cooking up a radio station.
I do have I have a radio station that I'm going to be doing. It's 99.7 New Bedford. We just got
Land radio.
Yeah. Well, I think it's more like a public access type. There's a lot of people out there that don't have voices, and it's like a media desert right now where I live. There's a lot of conservative voices and a lot of left leaning thing, but there's not a lot of like right down to the street level, grassroots type, voices out there. And there's nowhere it's like a media desert out there for some reason. So I'm building, we just got the rights to a radio station, the bandwidth, from the FCC. I've secured it for the next 5 years.
Nice.
So we're going to start doing that. Me and a couple of my friends, we're going to start a radio station to get people's voices out there. I'm also like in anything that has to do with unions, I'm there. I'm on every strike line. I'm on every time there's a fight there, I'm there. So I'm like, if they joke, if there's a union birthday party and somebody's having a birthday party with their friends, I just pop in and stuff like that. So.
That's awesome. That's awesome, man. That's great.
Talk about the art studio.
Oh, so UMass Dartmouth ended up taking out it was called the Star Store. So it was in downtown New Bedford, and the university basically screwed all the kids that were coming for this semesters. Didn't give them any notice, and basically just bamboozled them out of their money, right? And some of these kids were at the point where they were going to get their masters, and a lot of and it totally did the whole thing upside down. I was very vocal about not letting this happen. Probably got in a lot of trouble in at the university, but I don't care because I tell how it is. I tell the chancellor how it is. It's just the way it is.
That pesky chancellor. I've heard a lot about it.
Yeah.
Brad always had the answer to the chancellor. We talk all the time.
Yeah.
I know it must have been hard for those kids, but really, all they really needed to do was just cut out the gizmos and gadgets. And
well, the big thing about the spot was a studio thing. They had the kilns to forge their art projects. Space to show that stuff. So what I ended up doing is spitting in the face of the man, and I created a space downtown. I ended up securing for 6 months. It just ended last month, but we'd continue until because I made a deal. We'd continue until about December, but I was able to get a space so that they could all, not just the students that were affected by the Star Store, but all students that were part of the art program, have a place for them to show their art, to sell their art, to build things down there. And I brought it all the way through.
That's awesome. That's awesome, man.
Yeah, he's kind of my hero.
He's one of the coolest ants I've ever met. Like,
that's cool.
He's
That's great.
Because like, could you imagine like an ant like talking in front of like the Senate? Like, that's such a weird thought.
That's
like,
what Flanagan wants.
I know. We're gonna be in the government soon. We're taking over this town.
In his pocket. They've been wanting a senator for years.
I know. You're you're part of the law.
I'm part of the law now. I'm gonna be the tell him Steve Dave's senator.
We need to have ant-based legislation.
Yeah,
definitely. But trying to get there. Know a lot of people. The people that I've known, not to enrich myself, but enrich my community.
That's great.
Would you vote for him?
Oh, I'd vote for him.
Oh, fuck yeah.
Nice. That's all I needed. That's all I needed. Now I got Chuck, so I'm doing it.
Gula for TSD town president. That's what I want. That's what I want.
Vote for Pedro.
That's hilarious.
So we should probably wrap this up. I feel so terrible for our board operator. He's just been hanging in like a champ because the lovely Ming Chen told us that we didn't have as strict of a time limit. And the worst thing he ever could have told.
I know, we could be here for hours.
So, he knows I don't have to work today.
Yeah. He's like, no, I got guys.
They don't know yet.
Unless there's anything else you guys insanely wanted.
Well, I know you did have a game.
I do have a game.
I think Chuck would
and
really like
Chuck
this game.
would really, really love this game.
I think he would really be into it.
And I was so pissed off.
When is this coming out?
I don't know.
Like soon?
Yeah.
Soon. We're just going to put it out as like a one-shot thing.
Can I
Whenever the work gets done.
Can I plug a quick show?
No.
Absolutely.
No, you
Go ahead.
So my podcast, Fun Bearable with Ray Harrington and Brad Rohr, we're doing our 100th episode live at the Comedy Connection, East Providence, Rhode Island, on Sunday, July 21st. It's going to be really, really fun. If you haven't heard my podcast, funbearablepod.com. Walt and Gedham have both been on twice. And we did a game called Psychic Trivia that Brad came up with. And I think, and Walt was the psychic, the resident psychic that judged. And Gedham, myself, and Ray played to be the next psychic. And it's a game show where basically Brad comes up with questions, and then we have to answer before he basically comes up with a topic, and we have to answer the question before he asks the question. Then he asks the questions with our answers already submitted, and Walt has to decide which one is the closest to being psychic. And there's a lot of like variation on that as well. There's a lot of different things in that. But we're very lucky. We're thankful to have Walt and get him on a bunch. We're gonna have Brian on, I'm sure. We're gonna have Ming on. Jimmy is desperate to come on, so I guess so. We've had Brian Rupert on.
Yeah.
But yeah, funbearablepod.com. And if you're in the New England area, come on out on Sunday, July 21st, to the Comedy Connection, East Providence, Rhode Island, for our 100th episode live. It's going to be bananas. It's going to be great.
Congratulations on 100 episodes.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Fun Bearable is my second favorite podcast. Like, it's so good. It's so good.
I really appreciate that. I'm really, really, really proud of what we're doing.
I told you to you on the cruise, but for the record, like, Walt's laugh and your laugh fill my day up with so much joy.
I appreciate that. I have the worst laugh in the world.
No.
And my reason, because so many people tell me they love my laugh.
Yeah.
And I think the reason they do is because no matter how bad your laugh is, mine is worse, and so you're gonna feel better about yours. That's what I think it is.
It's like one of those like I could have it. I just have it on in the background when I'm doing chores and shit, and sometimes I lose track of the conversation. But if I hear like you laugh or Walt laugh in the next room or something, I'm instantly I'm just chuckling to myself. It just makes me feel happy.
I appreciate that very much. I appreciate that.
But the congrats on the 100 episodes. Ray Harrington is fucking hilarious.
He's awesome. I'm really lucky to be paired up with Brad and Ray. They're such different personalities, and they're so fucking funny in different ways.
Yeah.
It's like, it's crazy. I think that really, like, the reason I'm so proud of Fun Bearable is because we found this balance, which I think is the same reason that Tell 'em Steve Dave is so successful. It's the balance of the guys. I really feel like we found a balance that I'm so proud of because Ray is so cutting, Brad is such a little mouse man, and I just have free reign to be like the stupidest version of myself on Fun Bearable. And like, that's really what I push for. And it's a space I never thought I'd really be in terms of like that kind of play on a podcast. And I love it. I feel like I found my stupid home. You know what I mean?
I can tell that you love it. Like you're like, I can tell that you all are there and you're having fun. And like, that's why I gravitate towards it. Cause it's like, these are just friends having fun. Like, that's why I love Tell 'em Steve Dave. That's why I love Fun Bearable. It's just like, I love the vibe.
Yeah, we
talked
about it a lot when Fun Bearable started. It's like, it's not smart to start a hang podcast.
Yeah.
It should be like a niche thing. It should have a specific theme. But we're like, we don't care. That's what we want to do. We want to do a hang podcast. We want to be able to talk about anything. We want to be able to surprise the audience every week. And so I really, really appreciate that. It means a lot, buddy.
I love the like the pitch doctor stuff.
That's my favorite stuff is pitch doctors. I love it.
Yeah.
We take like, let's say when Godzilla and Kong came out in theaters, we'll take something that's coming out that's like huge, like a movie, and we'll say, well, what if we were in charge of making this movie? And we'll each bring a different pitch to the table of what our version of it would be. And Brad is always like the guy who actually tries really hard and makes a great project. Ray always comes up with something that's very unique and original. Like we just did pitch doctors for the Muppets for our Muppets project. And Brad came up with the idea of a movie about Kermit running for president. And all the Muppets kind of pushing him into it. And it was a big take on like political satire. Killer.
That's really good.
It was great. It was great.
I would watch the fuck out of that.
Ray came up with a streaming service based on Muppets where they're recreating the most famous shows as well as doing new shows. And so he came up with programming. One of them was Seinfeld.
Oh, that's genius.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
It hurts me how good it is. It's like hit with a brick of a good idea.
Yeah, and then my pitch is always the last one in it because it's the stupidest and it's the one that breaks the rules the most. And my pitch was 2 movies. One was the Muppets doing Seven.
What's in the box?
With Waldorf being Morgan Freeman and Kermit's nephew Robin being Brad Pitt. And then but it takes place on Sesame Street, so all the victims are Sesame Street characters.
That's awesome.
Obviously, Cookie Monster's Gluttony.
I could see like the bright red feathers like hanging out of the box.
And then my other pitch for that, because I came up with a bigger one, was Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind, where Kermit and Piggy have broken up. But you know, in the movie they go back through this relationship that's breaking down, and their memories are collapsing. But for my version, they go back through all the Muppet movies where Kermit and Piggy were like developing their relationship, and all those scenes are collapsing. And it's like, so it's really, we try to really get very, very creative. And we do a lot of just like chatting and hanging and joking around and coming up with whatever and riffing. But we do like to do big scripted things once in a while. And I think that that's like my favorite stuff. I'll tell you one more thing. We do this thing called Strangers in Fiction, where what we do is, we submit character descriptions of ourselves to the cheapest writer on Fiverr.
Yeah.
And we say, write a 15-page horror movie with these characters. And we give them all the facts about us, including like a lot of insults. Because I'll write a lot of stuff about Ray that's like, you know, this guy, he's a piece of shit. I'll lie about things. I'll be like, I'm like, and I'll write in the description, he's married, but let's just say he's a real ladies' man. Then you have a random person working with that, and they'll send us scripts, and we'll get 3 scripts in, and we won't read them at all, and we'll read them cold on the podcast as like movie scripts. We're all playing ourselves in these horror situations. So we really, and the truth is, I've been really inspired by Tell 'em Steve Dave and Walt and all the creativity that's in the world of Tell 'em Steve Dave, and we're kind of bringing it to like our place, which is more of like comedy writers and comedy performers. And so we really like to come up with these kind of high-minded ideas and really, different ideas. It's super, super fun. I love that we have Fun Bearable. The way we describe it is it's like a creativity playground where we want to be able to bring anything to the table. So I really appreciate that. I appreciate you like Pitch Doctors. It's one of my favorite things ever.
Pitch Doctors is great, and I also love like when you guys do like the Halloween shows, and you're like, oh, who's coming up for candy, and it's just like
so for every Halloween episode, we're on a porch and we pretend that right off screen there's trick or treaters and we're giving them candy. But we riff on what the costumes are. So I'll be like, Ray, what is this costume this guy's wearing? This is pretty weird. Describe it. And he's like, oh yeah. And we have to put each other on the spot and we have to come up with it. And my favorite one ever was I was like, Ray, who's this? This is a weird one. And he goes, that's weird. He goes, it's a little person. He has a glove that doesn't fit. Oh, he's Lo J. Simpson. And like that's one of my favorites is when we do the off screen. Oh, who's that? I love that so much.
It's so fun. It's so creative.
That was very, very fun.
It's very obvious that you guys all have a background in comedy and improv, and like it's so good. So anyone who's listening, go Fun Bearable.
Yeah, Fun Bearable. We're at Fun Bearable Pod on every social media place, and then funbearablepod.com. And we have, like I said, 2 episodes with Walton Gedham, episode with Mark Normand, Joe List. We'd have a panel on there that I did with the entire cast of Clerks.
Mark Norman's great.
Yeah.
Yeah. I work with Mark. That's like my main job. Yeah.
I don't know enough about you, Chuck. I'm sorry.
It's all right. But we have a panel.
I'm a huge Chuck fan now. I mean, I was before, but for like the wrong reasons, I guess. I'm just like, he does so much.
He's the video guy.
we do.
He makes my favorite things come true.
We have a panel with the entire Clerks cast that Brad and I moderated. We have a panel of me, Ethan Suplee, and Jason Lee, which was awesome. We have a panel with the Futurama cast, the whole cast. We have a panel with the entire
Turtles,
the Ninja Turtles cast. We have a lot of stuff like that up there that we have that's like special. And we've had Mike Cannon on a lot of really, really fun stuff. But yeah, check it out. Fun Bearable is the podcast.
It's fucking awesome.
Yeah.
So to wrap it up, you have questions, and then let's end with the game because I think that game will.
I do, and I think the questions we could go through pretty quick.
Yeah.
It's not difficult.
Rapid fire.
So I was thinking, like, what am I going to make for an itinerary? And I thought, what are some of the most pressing questions that we've all heard asked on Tell 'em Steve Dave? If you could be any breed of dog, what breed of dog would you be and why?
I would probably be an English bulldog. I feel like I'm very lazy. You know what I mean? I'm kind of built like a bulldog, like slobbering all over the fucking place, snorting everywhere, but just like cute in like a fucked up way. Like it shouldn't be cute, but it is. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
What about you, Nick?
I love this question. It's so exhilarating.
It's gonna be Chihuahua.
I was gonna say mine is teacup Chihuahua.
Yeah.
I want to be held and babied, and I want to be.
And then you want to bite people.
I'll bite people. I mean, I like to bite people now. Natalie knows. But I would like to be coddled. I like to be coddled more often than I am. You know what I mean? I want someone to put me on their shoulder, maybe in a little sling. I want to be able to be so small that you could forget that I'm in a sling on your shoulder.
My wife and I, we have a Chihuahua, and we thought originally when we bought it, of course, we bought it on the street, Craigslist, so we don't have the papers for it, but the guy said it was a teacup, so we're like, oh, great, we got it, and it's much bigger now.
Yeah.
It's just a regular Chihuahua.
Yeah.
But her name's Daisy. Her full
cute.
name is Daisy De La Hoya, because we love Daisy of Love so much.
I love Daisy of Love, too.
And it was right after that came down that we ended up getting the Chihuahua, so.
That is hilarious.
Yeah, so now we have little Daisy De La Hoya running around our house all the time, and she's just as prissy as the actual person.
Daisy.
She's got like a pink collar with like all the gems and stuff on it. It's awesome.
That's great. All right, Natalie, how about you?
You know what? I don't know enough about dogs.
Yes, you do. Come
No,
on.
I
What do you
really
mean you don't know
don't.
enough about dogs?
I think
have you seen a
I'd-
dog?
I would just be a cat.
Oh my God, that's such a bad answer. If
I
you were
am.
any breed of dog, cat.
I don't know breeds.
Name 3 cats.
The
Breeds of
cat,
or
breeds.
Oh,
yeah.
that's easy. Tuxedo.
No,
cow-
not you.
Oh.
The person who's never seen a
Siamese.
dog before.
Siamese.
Yeah.
All right, well, what breed of cat?
I would be the cat from the Day One movie.
Oh, we just watched Quiet Place Day One.
Okay, yeah.
It wasn't great, but there was a cat in it that was bizarrely well behaved. Let's just say that. They're like swimming underwater with the cat holding it, and its head is just, like looking around, and it's fine. It's so bizarre. It's such a bizarre choice.
If you're gonna put a cat in that situation, make it intense. Like because like a cat freaking out.
This cat doesn't care at all. Like I'm not even exaggerating a little bit that people are swimming under the ocean holding a cat, and the cat is just totally cool with it.
Wow.
Yeah, my cats don't like a drop of water.
Yeah,
I'm not sure how this cat's taking all the water on Earth in one spot.
Natalie excuses it by saying, "Well, it's a service cat." Right?
It was a great cat. I think it made the movie.
You only listed one cat.
I don't know.
Yeah, you do. Calico, tuxedo.
Yeah.
I know you can list one
Siamese.
dog.
Well, to be honest,
List one dog.
I know this is unpopular. I'm just not a dog person.
I'm not either. You're
so
talking to the right
Can
person.
you name like a famous dog?
Lassie.
Wow.
The number one easiest answer.
I mean Scooby. You know, there's Odie from Garfield.
Come on, Santa's little helper.
Santa's little helper, yeah.
So also she stole my answer because I was going to say I'd probably be a cat too because I'm just not a dog person.
I'm not either.
The person asking the question was going to break the rules of the question.
I didn't come up with the fucking question.
You're the host.
I don't think we should have given him the host job. I think we should have changed that one.
Can we like
I'm
start
not
over?
It back. I hope you know. Anytime the three of us are in front of mics again,
He's got it now.
I got the wheel. What sitcom would you live in if you could be a background character?
I'm gonna think about it for a sec. You go first.
Big Bang.
Big Bang Theory?
Yeah, I like that.
That's a really good one.
I like it.
Nothing like dangerous or too wacky ever happens.
Yeah.
And,
I just like the show.
Yeah, Pasadena is where it takes place, so it's a good city.
Oz.
Oz.
No.
You want to be a background. You just want to be in prison.
Yeah, no.
You're not even taking place in the plot. So you're just in jail.
I would do Westworld, but not as a robot.
Okay, yeah.
You know what I mean? That's
so you just want to be at the park.
I want to be at the park.
Perfect.
Yeah.
That's not a sitcom, though.
Oh, sitcom.
Yeah.
Didn't he say Oz? No, I'm kidding.
You said Oz.
Sitcom is tough. I mean, it's funny because they're all so jolly. Like right away, Friends comes to mind in terms of like an actual sitcom, but really isn't. How could you beat Springfield? You know what I mean? You can't, no, it's Simpsons.
Oh, yeah.
How could you beat? How could you beat Springfield?
You
right?
can't.
Ironically, that was Sunday Jeff's answer, and he got yelled at too because that's not a fucking sitcom.
It is a sitcom. It's an animated sitcom.
I guess there's no studio audience. It's not.
Oh my God! What do we live in 1972?
I'm trying to.
I don't think
keep up Walt's
sitcoms
argument.
now have live studio audience.
No, they don't. They don't.
I'm just chiefing Walt's argument to Sunday Jeff.
I also think Community would probably be really fun. Community Rules. That was awesome.
I'd let
love
that
show.
one go.
I think I'm gonna do that '70s show just because I grew up watching that all the time.
Great answer.
And just I know I wouldn't be in like the basement because I'm a background character, but I think it would just be cool to just be there, like at the like the burger shop that they go to and stuff. Like
Mitch Hedberg.
yeah.
Yeah.
Natalie, you have seen a sitcom, right?
Yes. But you know what? I would have said The Simpsons too. That's just one of my favorite shows.
That's too bad.
of all
I'm
time.
sorry.
What would you say for live action?
Married with Children.
Come on, you get something.
Oh, that's a
That is
good one.
That is a good one. I like that 70s show. I think that's a good one.
Yeah.
What about Buffy the Vampire Slayer? It's not exactly a sitcom.
I was gonna say that's not a sitcom, but I would love that.
She likes to slay vampires, or would like to slay vampires.
My stolen answer is Happy Days. I really love that idea because I used to work in a factory as a metal fabricator, and it's just the most bleh kind of work ever.
Yeah.
Unless you're that kind of guy, which I guess there are people who are totally into that, and I like the work sometimes, but like the kind of people who are into that. Not my kind of people.
Perhaps I could see
so
that.
So I used to often tell people on my hard days, I'm here right now, but mentally I'm at Arnold's. I'm getting. Have you guys ever seen Louis C.K. had a sitcom?
Yeah.
Lucky Louie. It had one season.
Yes.
And it's very difficult to find now. I think you could get it on DVD, but that's basically the only place you could find it anymore. Probably just because of how much Louis is canceled or whatever however you want to describe that. But I love that show. Did you ever see it?
I only saw like one episode, but yeah, it was. I like.
It was legitimately funny.
Yeah, it was a great show. Yeah.
And also, I feel like I've been ever since like growing up watching stuff like Friends and stuff like there is a lot of merit to making clean humor and being creative about making clean humor, but always wanted to see, like, how can we see this sitcom format but without any limitations in that, like that
it's
HBO type vibe.
Yeah, like It's Always Sunny a little bit.
Yeah,
or like Curb Your Enthusiasm.
Yeah.
Completely understand. Yeah.
So that would be my answer.
Yeah.
One of the comic book men announces he's coming out. Who's your best bet?
Ming.
Oh God. That's so fast. It's low-hanging fruit, guys. Come on.
Yeah, that's what they would call Ming.
Yeah.
I'm not just saying this because I've been anti-Ming almost the whole pod.
Well, I'm not just saying this because it's Ming. I think it would be Ming. Yeah.
Yeah, it wouldn't surprise me. I think same thing with serial killer. It'd be Ming.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
He just there's something behind those eyes. We can't tell.
Well, there's a comically limited answer to this question, so I'm gonna just go with Mike. What about you?
Who do you think is gay?
Ming.
Ming. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Without a doubt.
What about you, CJ? You go weigh in. What do you think?
Oh, I don't know. I can't say.
Come on.
Hold on, he's using his fingers to spell out M. Hold on, I. Hold on, it could be anybody. N.
What he's doing in Omaha.
Yeah, exactly.
I imagine he's trying to show me a picture of Ming right now.
Yeah,
He's
right.
just an Asian
He's
person.
like, sorry, I have to go to another con this weekend.
I can't be there.
So the stash is on fire. And who are you going to save first and last out of Ming, Mike, Walt, Bry, Q?
Well,
Oh my God.
I'm not going to worry about Q. He's on his own. You know what I mean?
Really?
He's a firefighter.
That's not a bad answer.
He's on his own. Fuck him. He can handle himself. You know what I mean?
In Walt's description of this question, everybody's on the floor unconscious.
Oh, okay. So,
yeah, that's
So they're all just laying there and smoking the fire.
wow.
My first would be Walt, and I don't know what my last would be.
Yeah, I think my first would also be Walt.
For sure.
It would probably go Walt, Bry. I mean, like, you know, I'd be like, so it's Walt, Bry, Q,
and Mike and Ming.
Mike and Ming. I'd have to.
Mike's dead.
Yeah.
Mike's pretty much dead at that point.
I mean,
I don't
it'd have to go
Mike
Walt.
last.
It'd have to go Walt, Bry, Ming, and then Q. Because in my brain, I'm like, well, you know, he's lived quite the life. You know what I mean?
I mean, even if he was unconscious, he does have the most experience with dealing with fire and smoke. So who knows? I don't know.
You're talking to a man on the ground who's unable to respond. Like,
firefighter.
sorry, you're the smartest here.
He's lived a life.
They didn't train Sunday Jeff for this.
Well, maybe we have to because we want another cruise, and that's the only way we're going to get another cruise, right?
yeah.
True. That's true.
That's funny.
I'm gonna go Q first, and I'm gonna go Bry second probably, and then Walt.
I feel like Walt would be
I'm
the
worried
easiest.
about Bry's knees,
That's fair.
and I think Walt is Walt's a lot like me, and he's got a big Darwinism factor. So you know, if he smells smoke, he's 30 miles from where the building's on fire. You know what I mean?
right.
And he's also a super smeller.
He is
true.
a super smeller.
So he's gonna smell that fire before it even starts.
How about you, Nat?
Walt for sure first.
Yeah, that makes
For
sense.
sure. Yeah. And then
Makes sense.
yeah.
Bunch of suckers.
We all know.
I don't hate Ming.
Coming from the guy, who's
I don't
like,
hate
"Fuck
Ming. I
Ming,"
don't
and then
like
he's been
that.
slopping on Ming's
Well,
cock
last.
this whole time.
He's second to last.
Wow.
At least I went back in. I'm not going back in for Mike.
Wow.
Sorry.
Wow. Dropping the bomb, huh?
Sorry.
Jesus. What's the next one?
Is torture on the table?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, I'd say so.
Yeah.
Yes.
I'm talking like medieval torture, though.
Most of these questions are from the game. What would Sunday Jeff say? But that one was. This one's not. So you have to. Your job is you work for Al Qaeda and you cut people's heads off, and that's what you do. You have a machete, you cut people's heads off, and they let you listen to music. So what's the soundtrack of you cutting people's heads off?
Ooh.
Limp Bizkit.
That's a good answer. It's very angry.
Yeah.
Yeah, I could cut someone's head off to break shit.
Yeah, break stuff. Yeah.
Senior discount.
Oh yeah, babe.
What about you?
Corn.
Corn.
Oh, that was gonna be mine.
Really?
Yes. Yeah.
Got to be corn.
Yeah.
That's good.
It's gonna be mine.
I don't have an answer to this question, damn it. I know. You shouldn't have made me host.
We've been saying that the whole pod.
I'm going to say, for lack of time, what's that song they sang at the wedding at Step Brothers?
yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Boats and Hoes or something?
No, just the one Will Ferrell song. Yeah.
Oh,
That's
see.
funny.
Yeah, just to put me in a nice, like, calm, even keel mood.
Sure,
I feel like if I focus on my arm moving and not cutting heads off, then I could just flow with the music.
There you go. I like that.
Ooh, and just
Yeah, sure.
and get
That's
through.
good. I like
through
that.
my day.
Do we want to get to the game while we still, 10 more minutes?
Yeah.
Let's do the game.
Okay, so I made this game and I thought it would be cool. Apparently it wasn't, because we kind of tried to play last night and nobody got anything. So I'm hoping Chuck is my the guy.
I'm going to use my psychic.
Do you want to explain,
Well,
explain the game?
So
I do have
it's-
a character on Fun Bearable named Dr. Genius.
Nice.
Yeah,
So I might be able to do it.
Nice.
It's explain the game a little bit.
So the game is called Video Game. And we're gonna what I'm gonna do is play you a soundtrack from the game.
This is fucking tough, man.
And you're gonna have to tell me what the game is.
I'm not going to get this.
I'm glad he's not cocky about it like we were.
Yeah, we were really cocky last night when you tested it
This is
out.
pretty-
It was really
Well, there's just 10,000 video games.
They're I think, are they mostly all arcade games?
they're arcade games.
Oh my
I'll give you a
god!
hint.
So
They're
they're not
arcade
even
games.
games that people were playing at home.
Well, this
You're
is
a
a
lunatic.
there are
this
there
man
are
cannot be in front of Congress.
yeah he's a lunatic. No,
He's a
I got
madman, Your
some.
Honor.
The only reason I did arcade games because this guy told me, "Hey, I know more about the thing," but I did everything. I did Atari.
Atari, what the fuck are you talking about?
I know.
This is
Okay,
crazy.
ready?
Yeah,
This
go
is
ahead.
gonna be crazy.
You
Ready?
gotta put the video up to the mic too.
Damn it!
That song?
That song. What song is it from?
No, play it again. What the hell?
I can't. Come on.
Oh, is it not loading?
Not loading. Give me a second. I'm gonna get it. Oh, the game's off the rails already.
I just
Come
wanted
on,
a picture of
Close your
I gotta
TikTok
get
and
a
open it up
picture of
again.
Jimmy with his thumbs up. It just says, "Please stand by."
Yeah.
What is up with the thumb thing too? He
I don't know.
thumbs up in every picture.
I don't know. I think it's just he decided that it's like a fun, goofy
That's his brand.
thing. He's like, this is ultimately positive. People can say I'm corny, but it's positive.
I like it. I like it.
too. Yeah, I did the Jimmy
fucking
thumb
love
thing
Jimmy,
last
man.
night for his birthday.
Yeah, I like that.
Yeah, of course.
Oh God, it's not working.
I've always been a big thumb guy. Well, I love Mick Foley, and that was Mick Foley's thing was the thumb thing.
Yeah.
I'm gonna use this time to finish shouting out other ants.
Yeah, go for it.
A lot of time with. I already said Kat and Tracy. Kyle O. He was with us a lot. You remember Kyle?
Yep.
He was awesome. Super funny. He was constantly repping all the Patreon merch. And so he was the one with the
Sunday Jeff apron.
Yes. Thank you.
There was another aunt named Kyle from New Hampshire. Him and his wife, they're super cool. I can't remember his wife's name, but super cool. They gave me this Frank 5 pin. Super cool people.
Demetrius, he was the one.
Yeah.
He's one of the people
really
that
cool.
roomed with Lindsay.
Yeah. I was going to say he was awesome, dude.
Also from Colorado.
Wow, cool.
I
Really
spent
cool
a
guy.
good deal talking to Demetrius. He was dope.
Yeah, he's cool.
Kim, as ironically, he already mentioned Kim earlier. She was with Kat and also Audra. That was like their three little 13%er group. They were awesome. Came in absolutely clutch with that joint in the middle of the night. Jen was awesome. Who else? Nola. I got even more of them. I got the whole thing right here on my book.
And people are at home like, oh my God, they said my name.
Yeah. I mean, I would want it, so why not?
Right.
It's awesome. It's the least I could do. I mean, I drove all this way. I'm in a shared fucking universe. If anybody gives a flying fuck about this pod we just recorded, that's the kind of people who want to hear the name on something like that. So
True.
I absolutely would too. I'd lose my shit.
I agree with that.
Harley, she's not in here. That's Justin's girl.
Oh yeah, shout out.
Shout out Harley. Shout out my wife also. Shout out my friend Trevor. He's the only person I've ever really been able to turn into an ant. I make it sound like that's a hard thing to do, but they got a big catalog.
Yeah.
There's a lot of the back stuff, and I hit him with the Clerks angle first.
Yeah.
And the movies and stuff, and then drew him in with being like, well, those who these guys are, that whole deal. And he, as much as I could have hoped, latched on, and
That's
he
awesome.
loves the stuff too. So
That's great.
I'm very, very proud of that.
That's great.
And he's just an awesome guy. He's one of my best friends, Trevor. Love him.
That's awesome.
So it's not working. So you got a reprieve.
Oh, come on.
It's all good.
It's not working. What's
Yeah.
going
So
Not
like
working.
what happened was is all the music that he found was on TikTok, and when we clicked the TikTok app, it's bringing us to a different video.
on? Really?
Yeah, just
doesn't work.
like a random
Like
video.
glitching.
Yeah.
Oh man, you can't just put it on. You know, whatever the answer is, you can't just put it on YouTube and play it.
Yeah, you could do that.
I mean,
Look it
I
up on
you probably
YouTube real
could
quick.
really quick. Yeah, it's probably pretty easy. I will tell you, I'm like in my head, I'm like I could probably name the songs that I could tell you, which is like if it's from Super Mario World, I could do it. If it's from Mario 64, I could do it.
That's what I was expecting. Like I'm with I'm like Mario, but he's like he pulls out
Well,
like
like,
obscure
I'm like
shit.
1982 Popeye guy arcade.
No, yeah.
That's what I'm talking.
I was like, hey, hey, this random Jurassic Park video game that you might have seen in something. Yeah, I got that one.
I mean, I could do the Ninja Turtle arcade games. I could do the Simpsons arcade game, X-Men arcade. But besides that, for arcade, I'm not going to recognize it. Maybe NBA Hang Time, Street Fighter, Mortal Kombat, Mega Man X. But besides that, I'm not going to jump on stuff.
He got mad at us yesterday because he's like, I worked so hard.
and now it's not working.
Yeah, for sure.
Damn, I'm sorry.
Well,
I
it's
got-
okay. Classic. Tell him.
Can you tell me the games you picked though?
So Super Mario, obviously Link.
Okay.
You know,
All right, I'll get that.
you know, Ninja Turtles. Like
Not the ones you were giving us yesterday.
no.
No.
Why was I gonna do that? I was gonna,
Yeah.
I wasn't gonna give you the good ones.
I would get those three though. I would get those three.
Yeah.
Well,
I-
which Ninja Turtles game?
The Nintendo one.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know if I would get that, but
Oh, I did have the arcade version too. So
I
yeah.
would get that for sure.
So
He like picked like a Lord of the Rings game. He got so mad at me that I didn't get it.
like you were literally talking about Lord of the Rings. I just watched you. You were just saying you watched the whole movie and all
why
this
would
stuff.
that translate to him fucking playing the video game?
I
though?
know.
And remembering the music.
Yeah, because it was exactly what the music from the movie was in the video game.
Yeah.
So
I
it
could
was,
do the Darkwing Duck NES game. You get that?
There you
yeah, I did.
You motherfucker.
Watch. You want to see it?
DuckTales. I could do that one.
I so had all these games like
man.
Wrecking Crew, G.I. Joe,
Joe NES. Would you have
NES,
gotten that?
Blades of Steel,
That's hilarious.
Flintstones,
That's hilarious. I love that.
Marvel versus the thing, Capcom,
Capcom, yeah.
Rage Against the Machine, Contra,
Yeah.
Mario 64,
Yeah. That's good.
shit like that.
I got zero.
Brad
of these.
is working on a game for Fun Bearable where he wants to take the Spanish translation of sitcoms and bring like a conversation to the table, and we have to try to figure out what it's from.
Oh, that'd be
That's
cool.
good.
That would
Fun,
be cool.
but we got. I'm like, we got to come up with a twist to make it funny, though.
Yeah.
There's got to be something funny about it. I got to find a way to make it funny.
Well, a lot of times the dialogue. Have you ever heard of the Backstroke of the West?
No.
So a lot of times when you retranslate that, obviously that's the whole point of the game. When you retranslate it, it doesn't translate back
Perfectly.
into the. So, but just that alone can be really, really funny. So
Yeah.
what somebody did is they took Revenge of the Sith, the whole movie, and then translated it and then retranslated it and then put it through English.
That's
and then
funny.
Dubbed it over. It's on YouTube, and it's called Backstroke of the West because Revenge of the Sith, and when they retranslated, that's what it came out as.
Oh gosh.
So,
Gosh. I gotta see that.
It's a real funny watch.
That's really funny.
Especially because like everybody knows that movie, so you have a cognizant understanding of what the actual plot going on.
See-
and then hearing them, it sounds so spoofy.
That's the element that we're missing is like some sort of knowledge of the actual thing that's pretty specific, and then a way to compare it. So I got to try to find a funny twist. That's amazing. I got to check that out. Backstroke of the West.
I just go for some of the most iconic things you can think of.
Yeah.
Try it out on one or two and
But
see
it's-
if there's a merit to it.
But it is, you got to make it funny. You got to figure out a way to make it funny. But yeah. That's
I'm not going to tell you how to do your job.
He's doing it.
Chuck, you obviously don't need my fucking help.
He has Ming.
he'd be nothing without me.
So I thought a great way to close this out. I'm going to point at you and impromptu just say your favorite closeout from one of the shows.
What do you mean?
So I'll start. I'll just say, tell them, Steve, Dave. And you could pick another one from one of your favorite different kinds of shows. Like there's...
Are there
Peace, assholes.
Yes.
Oh, man.
I'm Brad Rohr, and thank you so much for and I'm sorry for being fun bearable.
There we go. Perfect.
Awesome.
I love it.
Rangers eat nuts.
I don't even know.
Yeah. Zune.
Zoom.
part of it,
yeah,
man.
that was a good one.
Part of the lure.
You're part of the law today.
Thanks for listening, everyone.
puppets for like Labyrinth and stuff like that. He made all the puppets.
I know who you're talking about.
He's done a ton of stuff.
Yeah.
But he's in
Maybe
a lot of
Fraggles.